In an age of endless information, the true advantage is not access, it is interpretation. Welcome to Aneke TV, where journalism goes beyond headlines, beyond reaction, beyond speculation. Here, stories are investigated, issues are analyzed, voices are challenged, because an informed society is a stronger society. A discerning audience is a powerful audience. We are live. Daily broadcasting, relentless clarity. Aneke TV, where knowledge meets broadcast.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV, move with the world. Every day, the world produces noise, but only a few moments produce meaning. Information is everywhere. Understanding is rare. Because facts alone do not enlighten, context does, analysis does, perspective does. Welcome to Aneke TV, where news is not merely reported, it is examined, where conversations are not merely held, they are elevated, where stories are not merely told, they are understood. In governance, in business, in society, in the global arena. Clarity is power. Discernment is advantage. Awareness is responsibility. This is broadcasting with purpose, journalism with depth, programming with intellect. Nigeria, the world, we are live. Aneke TV, broadcasting daily, informing minds, shaping perspective.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV, move with the world. In an age of endless information, the true advantage is not access, it is interpretation. Welcome to Aneke TV, where journalism goes beyond headlines, beyond reaction, beyond speculation. Here, stories are investigated, issues are analyzed, voices are challenged, because an informed society is a stronger society. A discerning audience is a powerful audience. We are live. daily broadcasting, relentless clarity. Aneke TV, where knowledge meets broadcast.
Welcome to the Aneke TV Business Desk. History was made yesterday. The Nigerian exchange didn't just grow. Yes, the Nigerian exchange didn't just grow. It exploded, shattering the 200,000 point ceiling, hitting an unprecedented 200 point ceiling to hit an unprecedented 130 trillion market capitalization. Yes, but as the bulls run in Lagos, the world watches the Middle East. Brent crude is holding firm above $103, creating a massive fiscal windfall for Nigeria even as global inflation fears simmer. With only 13 days left on the clock for the 2026 banking recapitalization, the race for survival is entering its final high-stake lap. From the record-breaking heights of the Nigerian exchange to the volatility of global energy, we have the numbers you need and the context that matters. I am Uche Osai, and this is the Business Desk. Let's get down to business. The Nigerian equities market reached a historic milestone on Monday. Yes, that's as the Nigerian Exchange All Asia Index crossed the 200,000 point mark for the first time. The momentum continued into Tuesday, March 17, with the index gaining an additional 0.58% to settle at 202,559.56 points. Total market capitalization has now expanded to approximately 130 trillion naira, yes, reflecting a significant year-to-date return of over 29%. Now let's quickly run to the Nigerian exchange, look at the market performance. Yes, looking at the Nigerian market yesterday, where the equities market reached a historic milestone that, like we did tell you, as at going beyond the position of 200,000 mark on Monday to hit this new height. The total market capitalization has now expanded to approximately 130 trillion, reflecting, yes, a very important milestone. And then when we look at the market capitalization, we tell you is a 130 trillion naira market as at yesterday, and a volume of trade totaling around 1.75 billion shares valued at 88.06 trillion naira. Yes, and then when we look at the top 5 gainers here, the industrial and financial stocks led the charge, with Boa Cement hitting the maximum daily limit. And then you see that the Boa Cement yesterday closed market, making a 10% positive adjustment. Yes, a 10% positive adjustment as it closed trading at 326 naira 70 kobo. And then when we look at the next stock here is the Premier Paints, which closed trading equally on the bullish position of a 9.86% adjustment to close at 23 naira 40 kobo. They are followed by Zenith Bank PLC, which is equally bullish, closing at 111 naira 15 kobo. And then we're seeing UACN PLC equally bullish, making a positive adjustment of 7.78% to close at 100 naira 50 kobo. And then next is NACO, which closed trading yesterday at 175 naira, making a positive adjustment of 7.14% yesterday. And then when we quickly look at the losers, will tell you that everything the losers chart is characterized by profit taken in the agriculture and aviation sector, which saw some high value stocks declining. And then this chart is led by Presco PLC, which closed in the dip by closing his book at 1,875 naira 60 kobo. Dangote Sugar is equally in the dip, in the very big dip of a negative 10% adjustment as he closed his book yesterday at 4 naira 70 kobo. Looking at Jaiz Bank, which closed is trading yesterday at 10 naira 80 kobo, equally in the big dip of a negative adjustment of 10%. Cavington Offshore closed trading yesterday at 6 naira 30 kobo, making a dip of 8.70%. And then we are seeing NSL Tech equally closing bearish of 7.69% to close trading at 1 naira 20 kobo. The trading volume saw an 85% improvement compared to the previous session, with FCMB Group and Wema Bank being the most active stock by volume. Let's quickly take a look at the banking sector, where the Nigerian banking sector is currently in a high stakes transition period as it approaches the March 31st 2026 recapitalization deadline. The CBN maintains that the system remains stable and sound, with tier 1 banks like Zenith, Access and GTB leading the compliance surge. Now, when we look at the Nigerian Banking Exchange Index, despite the broader market bull run, the banking sector index has recent volatility, just like on Tuesday, March 17, where it gained ground, with Zenith Bank making a positive 7.91 adjustment, and Access Holding showing strong volume, though some investors are engaging in profit taking ahead of the quarter end. Yes. And then looking at the oil and gas sector, we'll tell you that at the oil and gas sector, while the broader market is bullish, the Nigerian exchange in oil and gas index saw a marginal decline of a 0.08% as of yesterday. Top losers in the oil and gas sector being Eternal PLC, which shared 5.85%, closing at 38 naira 60 kobo. Investors are largely in a wait and see mode regarding the impact of the new executive reforms. Then the key policy development here is that in the creation of the Petroleum Reform Task Force, where we are seeing as at March 13, President Tinubu inaugurated a new task force led by Fola Adeola to accelerate the next phase of the Petroleum Industry Act, and optimize national energy assets. Now, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has equally declared that the era of dormant licenses is over, signaling a move to revoke oil prospecting licenses that remain inactive. Now, quickly moving on to the Naira performance. For yesterday, the Naira maintained a trend of relative stability yesterday, Tuesday, March 17, 2026, across both the official and parallel market segments, though it faced moderate pressure from renewed import demand. Now, we'll tell you that at the official market, the Naira opened at 1,367 naira 18 kobo against the US dollar and closed approximately at 1,372 naira 21 kobo against the dollar. And this reflects a marginal depreciation of a 0.3%. Yes, and while quickly at the parallel market, or the street market as many would want to call it, rates were slightly higher due to retail demand, with the dollar being bought at 1,390 naira and sold at 1,400 naira. The spread between the official and parallel market rates remain narrow, around 28 naira, indicating continued speculation. Yes. And then we quickly look at the Naira against the British pound. The Naira traded at approximately 1,809 naira against the pound, and this is based around the major ratings. And then when we quickly look at the pound, which remains strong against the Naira and is driven by high demand for school fees and travel related transactions, while against the euro, the Naira is changed roughly at 1,565 naira against the euro. Yeah, similar to the pound, the euro, saw steady demand, but they benefited from the Naira's relative stability in the official window. Let's quickly run to the Brent crude performance for yesterday, and yesterday it experienced a volatile recovery yesterday. Yes, bouncing back from a sharp sell-off earlier in the week. Now, looking at the price performance, we can tell you that the closing time settled at approximately $100.50 per barrel, making a daily change increased by roughly 3.3%. Yesterday, reversing Monday's nearly 3% decline. And then during the intraday fluctuation, prices range between $100.75 and a high of $104.97 per barrel. And then analysts are of the view that while the Brent is down from its recent crisis peak of nearly $120, it has found strong support at the $100 psychological level. The market remains in a bullish consolidation and a consolidation phase as traders weigh potential for further supply disruption against planned strategic reserve releases. Yes, and then when we look at the market drivers for yesterday, what are the factors that drove the market's movement for yesterday? I will start from the Nigerian exchange, where at the Nigerian exchange, the institutional investors' confidence is high. Yes, institutional investors' confidence is high due to corporate transparency reforms. Yes, the shortening of settlement cycle and massive selective buying in the banking sector, recapitalization driven, and oil and gas as well, is a factor in play here. And then quickly looking at Naira, where we can say that the Dangote refinery, reaching its 650,000 barrel per day capacity, has fundamentally shifted forex demand by reducing the need for imported fuel. Another issue here is tight monetary policy, which as we speak is at a 6.5% interest rate, and improved forex liquidity from the CBN have kept the Naira steady around the 1,350 Naira, 1,400 Naira against the dollar range, narrowing the gap between the official and parallel market. When we look at the factors in the Brent that shaped the Brent performance for yesterday, we tell you that Brent crude, has surged past the $100 barrel mark due to the continued military escalation in the Middle East and disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. Those are the factors that shaped the market yesterday. Let's quickly run to the international market. Yes, the international market for yesterday, we can say that the international market showed resilience, maintaining a cautious, relief rally despite the ongoing energy war tension in the Middle East. Yes, and at the US market, we'll tell you that though it was hawkish, hawkish post-watch, that's the word to describe the US market for yesterday, where investors largely looked past the surge in oil prices as the Federal Reserve begin its two-day policy meeting. Looking at S&P 500, which rose by 0.20% to close at 6,716.09 points. Nasdaq gained a 0.47%, closing at 22,479.53 points, led by a 1.6% jump. And Nvidia following CEO Jensen Huang's $1 trillion AI chip sales forecast. Then the Jones edged up by 0.10%. Yes, and then what we need to note here is that the airline sectors like Delta, which made a positive adjustment, yes, they're making a plus 6.7%. Yes, they rallied on a raised revenue forecast, while things remained very positive on this revenue forecast. Lilly fell by 5.8% on a downgraded obesity drug outlook. Now, quickly taking a look at the European market, we'll tell you that it was a mixed but firm. Looking at Europe and Asia market, where Europe, most indices clawed back early losses to end in the green. The Stoxx 600 rose by 0.5% as fears of a total blockade in the Strait of Hormuz eased slightly after reports of limited tanker movement. Now, quickly at the Asia market, we can tell that Nikkei 225 gained a 0.75%, and South Korea's Kospi surged nearly 3%, heavily supported by Nvidia effect on regional chip makers like Samsung and SK Hynix. Yes, and then quickly looking at the market drivers, will tell you that the Fed factor is here. Is a big factor here. Markets have priced in a 99.2% probability that interest rates will remain unchanged as of today, March 18. All eyes are on the chairman Jerome Powell's press conference for hints on inflation management amid the $100 per barrel. Yes, and then looking at the equities, in a break from the usual trend, stocks rose alongside Brent crude, suggesting that traders are now beginning to price in a containment scenario for the Iran conflict. And then the US dollar strengthened slightly, and gold advanced for the first time in 5 sessions as a geopolitical hedge. Yes, so looking at the international market, the value here is that the global sentiment is currently a tug of war between AI driven growth optimism and energy driven inflation fears. And now let's quickly move to our forecast for today. Yes, you heard correctly. Our market forecast for today, Wednesday, March 18, 2026, is that the Nigerian market outlook is defined by a breakthrough sentiment tempered by global caution. Looking at the equities, expect the Nigerian Exchange On-Share Index to attempt to hold or build on its new 202,559.5 points baseline, what we call a bullish bias. Yes. Now, looking at the banking, expect a continued high activity as tier 1 banks solidify their recapitalization position. And then when we take a look at industrial oil heavyweights like Boa Cement and Dangote Refinery, linked assets remain in a favorable position following the refinery's full capacity milestone. Now, the risk for today is potential profit taking after 2 days of historic gains. Yes, the risk of today is the potential profit taking after 2 days of historic gains. Now, what is our advice for today? Our advice is that today you have to be take a selective positioning. Yes, our advice today is that you take a selective positioning, as the recapitalization and refining teams are the strongest domestic drivers, but global energy volatility remains the primary external risk. So in whatever investment you do, it has to be selective positioning. Look at the banking tier 1 stocks, take a position there for future profit taking, and then that as long as the crisis in the Middle East persists, that there will be levels of volatility that will be determined by the external risk factors around the happenings in the world, especially around the energy sector. So our advice is that you take a selective positioning today as you go into the financial markets. Yes, and that's where we'll call it a day today on the business desk. I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Invest wisely.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last block.
In-depth analysis, expert views, Real voices uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
In an age of endless information, the true advantage is not access, it is interpretation. Welcome to Aneke TV, where journalism goes beyond headlines, beyond reaction, beyond speculation. Here, stories are investigated, issues are analyzed, voices are challenged, because an informed society is a stronger society. A discerning audience is a powerful audience. We are live, daily broadcasting, relentless clarity. Aneke TV, where knowledge meets broadcast.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good morning and welcome to News Around the Globe on Aneke TV. I'm Good Hope Chukuma. Glad to have you join us. Headlines. Federal government declares Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 20th, 2026 as public holidays for Eid al-Fitr. President Tinubu directs federal appointees seeking 2027 elections to resign on or before March 31st. Southeast Groups calls for zoning of 2027 presidential ticket to the region. On the foreign scene, President Donald Trump criticizes counterterrorism chief over resignation linked to Iran policy. Now the news in details. The federal government has declared Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 20th, 2026 as public holidays to mark this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration, signaling the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The declaration was made by the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjojo, on behalf of the federal government. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Interior, the minister congratulated Muslim faithful across the country on the successful completion of the Ramadan fast, describing the period as one of the deep spiritual reflection, sacrifice and devotion. He urged Nigerians to sustain the virtues of discipline, tolerance, and compassion imbibed during the fasting period, emphasizing their importance in strengthening national cohesion and peaceful coexistence. The federal government also called on citizens to utilize the holiday period to pray for the peace, unity, and prosperity of the nation, while reaffirming its commitment to fostering harmony and inclusive development across Nigeria. The Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council has demanded a new national minimum wage of 154,000 naira, alongside a 120% upward review of salaries and allowances for public sector workers. The demand was formally conveyed in a letter dated March 12, 2026 and addressed to the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation, citing worsening economic conditions and declining purchasing power among workers. The letter, jointly signed by National Chairman Benjamin Antony and National Secretary Olowoyo Obenga, described the current wage structure as inadequate and incapable of meeting basic living standards. The council stated that the proposal followed deliberations at its meeting held on March 9, 2026 in Abuja, stressing that the review is necessary to restore dignity to public service and improve worker productivity nationwide. The Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs has launched a workplace empowerment initiative aimed at enhancing productivity among physically challenged civil servants through the provision of assistive technologies. At the ceremony in Lagos, the General Manager, Aneke announced that 50 beneficiaries received tools including mobility scooters, automated wheelchairs, hearing aids, and specialized laptops equipped with accessibility software. She explained that the intervention is designed to eliminate workplace barriers, improve efficiency, and promote inclusivity across government ministries, departments, and agencies. The General Manager commended Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for increased budgetary support, while urging beneficiaries to justify the investment through improved service delivery as the agency monitors their performance. Governor Dapo Abiodun has launched the additional pension benefit initiative to enhance the welfare of retired civil servants in Ogun State. Speaking at the rollout in Abeokuta, the governor said the scheme provides retirees with between 116 and 280% of their annual emolument as a one-off lump sum, surpassing the federal benchmark. He presented checks ranging from 17 million to 22 million naira to 111 beneficiaries in the first phase, describing the program as a major reform of the state's pension system. State officials noted that the initiative is structured to ensure sustainable pension payments, clear inherited liabilities, and rebuild confidence in the contributory pension scheme. Professor Chukwuma Soludo has been sworn in for a second term as governor of Anambra State at a ceremony held at Alex Ekweme Square in Oka. He took the oath of office alongside his deputy, Aneke Bezim, in the presence of top political leaders including Vice President Kashim Shettima and former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan. In his inaugural address, Governor Soludo called for strategic political engagement by the Southeast, urging stakeholders to prioritize unity, structured negotiation, and democratic participation. He also proposed a regional development framework, advocating inclusion in national infrastructure plans to reposition Southeast as a hub for economic growth and investment. Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has reiterated support for the establishment of state police, describing it as essential for effective security management and true federalism. The governor, represented by the Deputy Governor Mr. Sam Ode, stated this during a training program for the Benue State Civil Protection Guard. He noted that decentralized policing would enable states to respond more efficiently to local security challenges, while aligning with ongoing efforts by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to develop the necessary legal framework. Officials disclosed that over 5,000 trained personnel are being positioned as first responders, working in collaboration with federal security agencies to strengthen grassroots security architecture. Operatives of the Enugu State Police Command, in collaboration with the Nigerian Army, have arrested 2 suspected armed robbers and recovered a stolen tricycle in Enugu State. The suspects, identified as Ejike Emewa and Njoko Christian Chibo were apprehended following a report of a tricycle snatching incident along New Gariki on March 9, 2026. Security operatives tracked and arrested the suspects, recovering the stolen vehicle and initiating further investigations into the incident. The Commissioner of Police, Mamman Bitrus Giwa, commended the joint operation and reaffirmed the command's commitment to combating criminal activities across the state. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has clarified that it did not seek a fresh court order to extend the detention of former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasser El-Rufai. In a statement, the Commission explained that its recent court appearance was in response to an application filed by the former governor's legal team challenging an earlier remand order granted on March 5, 2026. The matter has been adjourned to March 31, 2026 to allow both parties to address legal arguments while the Commission maintains that due process is being followed. The ICPC stated that the former governor remains in lawful custody under existing court orders as investigations into allegations of financial misconduct continue. President Bola Tinubu has directed all political appointees seeking elective offices in the 2027 general elections to resign on or before March 31, 2026. The directive was communicated in a statement issued by the Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation and signed by the SGF, Mr. George Akume. The decision aligns with provisions of the Electoral Act and the timetable released by the Independent National Electoral Commission governing party, primaries and political participation. The federal government stated that the measure is intended to ensure transparency, fairness and compliance with electoral guidelines ahead of the 2027 polls. A coalition of Southeast groups has called on political parties to zone their presidential tickets to the region ahead of the 2027 general elections, citing the need for equity and national balance. At a news conference in Enugu, the national president of the Southeast Enlightenment Group, Godwin Udibe, said the demand reflects long-standing concerns over the exclusion of the Southeast from the presidency since 1999. The coalition argued that zoning remains a viable mechanism for promoting fairness in Nigeria's power-sharing arrangement and strengthening national unity. It urged political stakeholders, including President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to support the initiative, warning that continued marginalization could deepen political dissatisfaction in the region. News around the globe is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us on all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now a quick recap of the major stories making the news. Federal government has declared Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 20th, 2026 as public holidays to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebration. President Tinubu has directed all federal political appointees seeking elective offices in the 2027 general elections to resign on or before March 31st, 2026. Southeast groups have called on political parties to zone their presidential tickets to the region ahead of the 2027 elections, citing equity and national balance. Coming up shortly on the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has faulted the resignation of a top counterterrorism official over policy differences on Iran. We'll be right back.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter who sorts is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Welcome back. President Donald Trump has welcomed the resignation of Joseph Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center, following his public opposition to U.S. involvement in the escalating conflict with Iran. Speaking during a media interview, President Trump described the resignation as a positive development, asserting that the administration requires firm commitment to national security priorities amid rising geopolitical tensions. Joseph Kent, a combat veteran, announced his resignation in a formal statement, arguing that Iran does not pose an imminent threat to the United States and warning against what he described as a departure from established strategic restraint. The development has drawn political reactions in Washington, with opposition lawmakers calling for congressional review of ongoing military engagements as debates intensify over the direction of the U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a message to the Iranian people marking the Persian New Year, combining seasonal greetings with a security warning amid escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. In a direct address, the Israeli leader confirmed that Israeli forces are conducting targeted operations against what he described as terror operatives within Iranian territory, stressing that the actions are aimed at safeguarding national and regional security. He maintained that the operations are not directed at the civilian population, but are part of a broader effort to neutralize perceived threats as hostilities between both nations continue to intensify. The address comes against the backdrop of heightened conflict in the region, with analysts noting that the communication reflects both a strategic and psychological dimension in ongoing military engagements. President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed the deployment of over 200 Ukrainian military specialists to the Gulf region to support efforts against drone threats linked to Iran. Addressing the United Kingdom Parliament, President Zelensky stated that the personnel are currently operating in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, with additional deployments on the way. He explained that the teams are leveraging Ukraine's operational experience in countering Iranian-designed drones, which have been widely used in the ongoing conflict with Russia. The initiative has received backing from United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who emphasized the importance of sustained international cooperation to address emerging security threats across regions. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo has assured the public of safety in Nigeria's aviation sector following a reported security breach at Akure Airport. Speaking during a radio interview, the minister clarified that the individuals involved were not targeting the airport but had advertently entered the facility while fleeing a separate incident. He acknowledged lapses in perimeter security, particularly weaknesses in fencing infrastructure, and stated that corrective measures will require time and substantial investment. The minister has ordered a full investigation into the incident, warning that any negligence by the security personnel will attract sanctions, while reiterating government commitment to aviation safety standards. Residents and business operators in Anambra State have expressed concern over persistent power outages and rising estimated electricity bills attributed to the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company and First Power. Reports indicate that electricity supply in parts of the state remains extremely limited, significantly affecting small businesses and household activities. In response, First Power Management attributed the situation to constraints in national power generation, stating that distribution companies can only allocate available supply from the national grid. Despite this explanation, stakeholders have continued to call for urgent intervention, citing the economic impact of irregular power supply on commercial activities in major cities including Onitsha and Awka. Now in sports, the Confederation of African Football has awarded the 2025 African Cup of Nations title to Morocco following a ruling by its appeal board. The decision overturns the initial outcome of the final match, with Senegal deemed to have forfeited the game over breaches of tournament regulations. The ruling results in a 3-0 scoreline in favor of Morocco, alongside disciplinary actions including fines and suspensions issued to both teams. CAF stated that the decision was reached after a thorough review of the case in line with its statutes, reinforcing its commitment to upholding competition integrity. Now in entertainment, music streaming platform Spotify has reported that Nigerian artists generated over 60 billion naira in royalties in 2025, reflecting significant growth in the country's music industry. According to the platform's Loud and Clear report, the earnings represent a major increase driven by global streaming demand for Nigerian music content. The report also indicates that a substantial share of the revenue was earned by independent artists and labels, highlighting changing dynamics in music production and distribution. Spotify noted that Nigerian music continues to gain international traction, positioning the country as a major contributor to global music trends and digital innovation. Still in entertainment, a Lagos-based content creator, Pella, is facing a legal action involving a claim of 395 million naira over alleged defamation and invasion of privacy. The suit was filed by Osabrobo Odige following an incident at a Lekki lounge on January 6th, where the claimant alleges she was subjected to verbal abuse and recorded without consent. Legal representatives of the claimant stated that the publication of the video on social media resulted in reputational damage and emotional distress. The matter is expected to proceed to court if settlement conditions outlined in a pre-action notice are not met, in what observers describe as a significant case in Nigeria's evolving digital and media law landscape. And finally, before we go on news around the globe, a recap of our top stories. The federal government has declared Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 2026 as public holidays to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebration, signaling the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The declaration was made by the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, on behalf of the federal government, urging Nigerians to reflect on the values of peace, sacrifice, and national unity. President Bola Tinubu has directed all federal political appointees seeking to contest in the 2027 general elections to resign their appointments on or before March 31st, 2026. The directive, conveyed through the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation under the leadership of George Akume, is in compliance with provisions of the Electoral Act and guidelines issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission. A coalition of Southeast groups led by the president of the Southeast Enlightenment Group, Godwin Udibe, has called on political parties to zone their presidential tickets to the Southeast ahead of the 2027 general elections. The group said the demand is rooted in the principles of equity, justice, and inclusiveness in Nigeria's power-sharing arrangements. On the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has criticized the resignation of the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joseph Kent, who stepped down over policy disagreements regarding United States' involvement in the escalating tensions with Iran. That's news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I'm Good Hope Chukuma. Thanking you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My name is Dr. Emmanuel Ihechi Asonye. I am the CEO of Omenka App LLC. I created Omenka App for the preservation of Igbo language and culture. Omenka App was established in New Mexico and it is headquartered in Albuquerque, but currently we are also being registered in Nigeria. We have a website. We are also on social media because my app is primarily for the Igbo community. In 2006, something significant happened among the Igbo community. UNESCO predicted that Igbo language was going to go into extinction, and that was because Igbo people are one of the most traveled people in the whole world. So the more children are born outside of Igbo land, the more they get disconnected. The app is on iOS, it's also on Android. Access the website and download the app from there. And over 2,000 people are using the app right now. But there's an app that will teach you about Igbo culture, Igbo people. We have Igbo poems, we have riddles and jokes, we have Igbo proverbs, then we have the word section where you are going to search Igbo words. Whatever word that you can find in English, you want to make sure it is found in the app in Igbo language. And I encourage everybody from their communities, you can do what we're doing in Omenka app with your own language and with your own culture. Do not allow your culture or your language to die.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good day, Nigerians. Electricity has always been a major concern for Nigerians, from households to businesses. Today, we hit the streets to ask everyday Nigerians on a simple question. Are you satisfied with the current electricity supply in your area?
I think there is a little improvement in terms of distribution, but the tariff, I'm not happy with the tariff. There is an increase in tariff. It's not about where I live. Everybody feels it because, I mean, whatever you put in, before a day or two, it goes up. So, yeah, it's not satisfactory. So they need to review the tariff, you know, a government that feels for the people. People should enjoy something from the government. Almost all the things that are controlled by the state is on the increase. Think about electricity, think about fuel supply, water supply. It's not fair. An average Nigerian deserves a bit of fresh air, you know. So they can start it with reducing the tariff. For once, let's feel a reduction in tariff.
I'm not satisfied at all. The tariff is very, very high. Like 4 units for 1,000 naira is too much. It's too high. They should be giving us like 10 units for 1,000, please. It's too high. It's affecting me because I'm using industrial machine. I'm using a lot of electronics, so it's affecting me seriously. Sometimes you will collect a customer clothes that will charge the person like 10,000 naira. The light that you buy to sew the clothes is even more than the money that you charge the customer, so it's too high. Please, they should do something about it. They should do something about it. Even if they should increase the units. That 4 units for 1,000 naira is too much. It's too much.
Please, not fully satisfied, but it's the better. It's very, very better. I'm from the village, and we are getting it better now. At least when we have full light, and there's no day we don't have it. So I'm very happy now that something is very, very fine. Please, very fine. I mean very fine. Before, it used to affect me because I may not have, the main thing I have is the fridge and the phone. So at times I'll put something inside the fridge, it will spoil. But now it's no more like that. When I put, if there's no light in the morning, it will be in the night. Then my phone now is always available. Yes, there's a big change. We are doing better. Please, myself and other people around me will confirm. Because it's a village that know the most thing that is happening.
There should be a constant interaction, one-on-one interaction, you know, with stakeholder. There should be a kind of maybe monthly, I get me, or quarterly. The electricity distribution should convene a stakeholder meeting so that we can sit down and interact to know the way forward. Because the way things are, you know, almost our earning is going into electricity.
They provide light very well, but the price is kind of high. But their light is, at least in a 24-hour space, we can have light for 20 hours. So the light is very stable, but it's just the amount, the tariff that is high.
There is a significant improvement in supply, I must confess.
Yes, there is remarkable improvements. I can acknowledge that. But where the problem lies is most transformers are overloaded. And when it drops, when some phase fails or fail, the response is not rapid. It's always very, very sluggish. Then in terms of tariff, government should try to subsidize electricity for the citizens. If this economy will thrive, 200 and something naira per, what is that, kilowatts or whatever, is so outrageous in the current economy. Many Nigerians are poor.
It's necessarily affecting us. Everybody is not comfortable. The business is affecting, livelihood is affecting, because when there's light, when there's electricity available, a lot of it takes shape. But when those things are not there, a lot of things will begin to dwindle, and many persons lives with the service of electricity. There are things you may not even use your generator to operate with. There are things you might use electricity to get into doing. But when those things are not there, it affects everybody. Even the consumers and the producers. It affects the whole structure of the society. So if those who are operating the electricity system in our society will now begin to understand that they are serving people, and the people know what they are doing, we are interested, we want to use these things for our daily well-being, then things will begin to flow very well.
Personally, I'm not satisfied in any way. Because you see, sometimes it will take some time before they will bring the light. Sometimes they will bring it in a epileptic way, yet they still collect their money. They don't miss to collect their money. So for me, I'm not satisfied. I think they have to do some kind of reforms in their ministry, or whatever I should call it. Understand? Because it's not the consumers that will come and do whatever that is necessary to be done. It's the power authority. They are the people that will have to do something to improve the supply. But people are not getting the regular supply needed, but they collect money on a regular basis.
We have constant light, but the tariff is actually expensive. And I don't know about other people that could not or cannot afford tariff, how they are actually managing. They should reduce it a little. The amount for buying unit of light, they should bring it down a little. Though I'm impressed with the amount of light we are getting currently, but it's too expensive, to be honest.
From Lagos to Enugu, Nigerians share their thoughts on the state of electricity today. Whether it's consistent power or consistent outrage, one thing is clear: electricity remains a top concern. We want to hear from you. Comment below, let us know your experience. Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Across Nigeria, electricity has become an everyday struggle. Blackouts are no longer occasional. They are part of daily life for millions of Nigerians. In homes, families spend long hours in darkness. Parents worry about keeping food fresh. Children struggle to study. And the cost of running generators adds to household expenses in an already challenging economy. Businesses are also feeling the pinch. Shops, restaurants, and small factories often spend more on fuel for generators than they earn in daily revenue. Perishable goods spoil. Production slows. Evening sales decline. Electricity, which should be a basic necessity, has become a luxury. Experts say the crisis stems from multiple factors: technical failures and aging infrastructure in the national grid, frequent gas shortages, and operational inefficiencies in distribution companies all contribute. Maintenance outage and tariff adjustments have further reduced the supply of electricity across the country. The impact on national development is significant. Schools struggle to conduct evening classes. Hospitals depend heavily on generators to keep life-saving equipment running. Businesses lose revenue, and the cost of doing business rises. The lack of stable electricity slows economic growth and limits opportunities for millions of Nigerians. Experts recommend practical solutions, increasing electricity generation, especially through renewable sources like solar, wind, and hydro, could reduce reliance on gas. Upgrading and maintaining infrastructure, stabilizing gas supply, and encouraging private sector participation in independent power projects would help expand supply and improve efficiency. Off-grid solutions such as solar panels, mini-grids, and inverters can supplement national supply, ensuring homes, schools, and businesses continue to function during outages. Energy conservation, smart meters, and transparent billing systems can also reduce losses and encourage reliable supply. Some businesses have already combined solar power with backup generators, cutting fuel costs by nearly half. Schools and hospitals using mini-grids continue operations even when the national grid fails. Expanding these solutions nationwide could significantly reduce the impact of blackouts, saving households money and boosting productivity. For now, Nigerians wait for a lasting solution. Stable and reliable electricity is not just convenience, it is the backbone of daily life, economic growth, and national development.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042. Please and greetings to everyone watching. You're tuning to Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with delightfulness, love, and purpose. Bringing you today's daily dose of brightness and joy. My name is Good Hope Chukuma, coming to you live from our studio here in Enugu.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. They say no matter how long the night, the day is sure to follow. The day is broken. The coffee is hot. Yes, and we're here to make sure you do not just witness this day, you own it. Thank you for letting us into your space this very morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
It's Wednesday, 18th day of March 2026, so it's another new wonderful edition of Sunrise. It's a power-packed morning with the latest news, weather, business, stock update, hot topics, and that Sunrise spark to help you own the day.
So, relax, grab that cup of coffee or tea, enjoy the ride, because the sunrise is here.
Coming up shortly, we kick things off with our quote of the day, something thoughtful to shift your perspective and help you stay well-driven or focused.
Then, it's straight into the day's top headline. All the key news updates that you need to remain informed will be shared, hot, debated, and of course, tasty.
We'll also give you a full weather forecast for cities across the southeast and beyond, so you know what to expect before stepping out.
And later, we'll wrap things up by bringing to you the tech update, entertainment gist, and of course, we won't leave you without serving what's trending to leave you smiling.
All right, now to our inspiration segment of the day, and that is our quote of the day, which says, "Until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter." Until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. Well, this proverb reminds you that if you don't tell your own story, others will tell it for you, often in a way that favors them. It's a call to take control of your narrative, speak up and define your own success, and identify rather than letting others shape it for you. Yes, Mr. Che.
All right, looking at this quote speaks to the dangers of a single story. It says that until the lions learn to write, that the tale of the hunt will always favor the hunter, and you are apt by letting people to tell their side of the story. When Chimamanda spoke to the dangers of a single story, she let us know that we should consistently give our own version of issues. Now I take you through history. When you see the tales of Africa in history, it reflects the white man's perspective or view of Africans, simply because the Africans didn't tell their story. Coming to a Nigerian issue, letting the children learn through history books that River Niger was discovered by Mungo Park, tells you the tale in this quote, that until lions learn to write, that the tales of the hunt would only be glorified, or the glorification of the hunters. How would the white man tell us that Mungo Park discovered the River Niger? The River Niger that people from Onitsha went to shower, or the people of Anioma that will cross over to River Niger, and such river was discovered by a man who traveled miles to get to Africa, then navigate towards Nigeria to discover River Niger. That tells you that each and every one of us should lend our voice, tell our story, that the narrative not be controlled by other people. Often those of us who see ourselves as good people refuse to give our own account of the happenings. And you see a lot of people in government and in Nigeria, after service, they would go home not, documenting their experience for the benefit of insight. This morning, we are telling you, there's nothing wrong in giving your own side of the tale. In fact, we encourage those of us who are privileged to serve the citizens, to serve in public office, to always document their experiences, their account, their version of issues. Yes, posterity will remember you by the tales in pages of newspaper, the account of opposition, the account of the naysayers. Let us be able to balance it by getting your views on these issues, so I will do not run the risk of what Chimamanda called the dangers of a single story.
All right, thank you very much for that. We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back with the weather report.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last blood.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us.
Good morning, Oka, Anambra State. Temperatures will hover around 25 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, starting partly cloudy, but likely building into thunderstorms later. So don't be surprised if rain interrupts your plans.
Welcome to the coast city and good morning, Enugu. This morning is shaping out to be hot with about 25 degrees to 36 degrees Celsius, featuring sunny intervals but with possible thunderstorms and brief heavy rain in some areas. So movement might be affected.
Good morning, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. Warm and slightly intense heat will be around 24 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, with cloudy periods and possible showers later in the day. So hydration is key and outdoor stress might feel heavier.
Good morning, Imo State, and welcome to my favorite city of Owerri. Owerri this morning will be around 25 to 33 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy skies and occasional sunshine, plus a chance of light rain that could make the evening feel cooler.
Good morning, Umahia, Abia State. Expect a warm day around 25 to 34 degrees Celsius, with a mix of sunshine and clouds and a slight chance of afternoon showers, so it may feel a bit humid later in the day.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, dress light, but do keep an umbrella handy. And remember, either rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report here on Sunrise. We'll go on a short break and we'll return with more updates. Stay with us.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Welcome back here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we take a look at the newspapers making the headlines for today.
And joining us this morning is Aneke TV's in-house analyst, Res Arum. Mr. Res, it's a pleasure to see you one more time on Sunrise.
Thank you, Mr. Uche, for having me.
You enjoyed yourself over Tuesday, we didn't see, but let me ask, how is Nigeria treating you?
Well, Nigeria has always been the same. There's not much of change. I have not had any more excitement than I used to have. I've not had any more troubles than I used to have.
Okay, and that's comforting. However, it's a pleasure to see you on Sunrise.
Thank you.
All right, we're starting with the nation's headlines, which says, ministers, others with political ambition get March 31st with date. Now on the Punch headline we have Borno bombings, killings spark fury, defense chiefs move into Maiduguri. Now on Vanguard headline we have Maiduguri explosions, survivors recount ordeals, service chiefs relocate to Borno. Now on the Guardian headline we have AFCON, Morocco crowned champions, Senegal stripped off title. Now on the Sun newspaper headline we have Borno bombings, Tinubu under attack. Now in the Daily Trust we have 30 days after ICPC fails to arraign El Rufai. We're starting today's Sunrise commentary on the Vanguard, which says Maiduguri explosions, survivors recount ordeals, service chiefs relocate to Borno. The headline highlights the aftermath of deadly explosions in Maiduguri, where survivors share painful and traumatic experiences from the attacks. It also notes that Nigeria's top military leaders have moved to Borno State to oversee security operations directly, signaling urgent efforts to address the situation, support affected communities, and strengthen measures to prevent further violence.
All right, Mr. Rice, let me quickly bring you in. Let me get your opinion on this issue, and then before I ask a few questions.
Well, you see, it is a recurring decimal on the attack of the insurgent groups on strategic locations. Now they have come into the civilian areas with suicide bombing. You know, the days of suicide bombing had been there some few years back, but after some time it became that of kidnapping and maiming of citizens and confronting of the military bases and all that. Now the issue of suicide bombing has come back to the same, which is becoming, the story is becoming more complex. The activities of the insurgency is becoming more complex. So you see, you have to now begin to think about how to detect some of these bombs, and even the carriers, who are, some people are ready to die with the bombs. So Nigerians must be very, very careful in getting to places, crowded environment and all that, because it's as a result, because this is where they actually want to detonate bombs. Crowded environments where you have numerous people that will come there to detonate such bombs. So, well, the Nigerian situation is getting worse because we are seeing other dimensions to the insurgent attack on Nigerians. So, not newer, it was there, but stopped a while, and now it has ready, which means they're now going back to ensure that they employ all the arsenal to attack Nigerians. And for what reason are these insurgent groups working? They best know it. They best know exactly what they gain from terrorism. It is the terrorists that know exactly what they gain from terrorism. One could ask Iran, and of course Iran may have the answer to what gains they get from terrorism. Otherwise, from a perspective of human conscience, from my perspective, do not see anything good coming out from terrorism.
Nothing good coming out of terrorism. I'll come back to you, but good hope, let me get your opinion on the issue.
Well, it is something that we have seen that happened just a few days ago, and just before the president left the country, he ordered all the security chiefs to go to Maiduguri to fix the current situation. Well, I think at the end of the day, we're going to have a more clearer system where every of our security chiefs are in a place, and then it could also, from my own end, it could also mean that these same people could move somewhere else. While every focus is on Maiduguri, they could move to somewhere else, and that may be a problem.
All right, Mr. Rice, looking at the directive of Mr. President, telling service chiefs to relocate to the scene of the act, do you see this, bringing any different results from the usual?
What difference is going to be achieved? Security chiefs, you heard Mr. Kutko just a few seconds ago. That's the fact that the security chiefs have all geared at combating what is happening in Maiduguri. The terrorists will just relocate and go to places where they are not, and begin to actually, begin to do the wrong things they are doing, begin to kill people, begin to kidnap people and all that. So what are you going to, it is only when things happen in Nigeria that you now begin to see security agencies and the CEC giving orders, go there, get them, and so on. How many of them has been gotten? Have we ever been told that those who mowed down plenty, good number of people in Kwara, that a few of them were apprehended. Have you been told that? How many of them have been apprehended? How many have been rounded up? You sent a battalion. The battalion went there. I wonder what they are going there to do. We are talking about intelligence. We must elevate the intelligence gathering in Nigeria, because it is only through intelligence that you begin to know what they intend to do, and then stop it, put it to a stop before it happens, and the lives of and property of people will be protected.
Yes.
Do you see? You've ever hear about Israeli Mossad? They have a lot of intelligence. How they get these things, of course, we do not know. Only those in the intelligence gathering business that knows how these things are done. So what you do is do it. If you do not know how to do it, you go for a course. You ask people that know it internationally to lecture your own people, and they'll come back and impart same to many others that are going to be working on intelligence gathering. We need intelligence in Nigeria. But otherwise, going there, moving to Maiduguri, okay, now they have moved to Maiduguri. What do you expect? We want to hear that they have rounded off Boko Haram in Maiduguri. If they do, and this swap members, if they do, then we'll be happy that they went to Maiduguri. But if they do not do, then it means that the monies and logistics expended for their movement. Do you know what it means for security chiefs to relocate to a place? A lot of logistics are involved. So it means the logistics expended for such movement is a waste if nothing is achieved. So Nigeria has to stand up and become more proactive than ever and ensure that they gather enough intelligence to guard and guide Nigerians.
All right, enough intelligence to guide and guard Nigerians. So, when Mr. President, classified the whole act as a desperate act of a dying element, being that from that attack, in the teaching hospital and Monday market in Maiduguri, then instructed the service chiefs to relocate while he was leaving the country. I, for one, my position is that I expected that Mr. President would have cancelled the foreign trip for the sake of the souls that were abruptly killed in Nigeria, and the issue around insecurity in Nigeria is enough of an issue to warrant a cancelling of that foreign trip or rescheduling to a future date. And then looking at the issue around the deployment of the service chiefs, and you were quite apt when you spoke to that issue, because we do not see this being, it's just reactionary in itself. We do not see it bringing a stoppage to the insecurity challenges that is confronting us as a people. Perhaps we may be able to stem the insecurity in Maiduguri, and we know that these attackers are nomadic and it's a guerrilla warfare. What are the chances that they will not move away from Maiduguri and move to other scenes or theaters? What now happens to other areas if all the service chiefs now put and pay their attention to Maiduguri? I keep insisting that until we become proactive rather than reactionary on our security approaches, then until then we may begin to have a comprehensive or a tangible result in our fight against insecurity, against insurgency, banditry or terrorism, by whatever name we give them.
All right, we'll move over to the Daily Trust, where we have 30 days after ICPC fails to arraign El-Rufai. The headline indicates that a month after initiative developments in the case, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission has not formally charged Nasser El-Rufai in court. This delay raises questions about the pace of legal proceedings, possible procedural challenges or lack of sufficient evidence, and may fuel public debate over accountability and effectiveness of anti-corruption efforts.
All right, Mr. Rice, let's get your opinion on this as well.
Okay, you see, after one full month, even before the arrest of El-Rufai, we are supposed to, in fact, we are supposed to believe that ICPC must have looked under about whatever thing they're going to arrest him for. They must have done some findings on the issue. And now El-Rufai has been arrested, kept in custody, and they refuse to arraign him. And there is a constitutional provision that such situations like that, one must be arraigned within a particular period of time. And then they have not arraigned him. Beyond that, the El-Rufai has also won appeal and won in court too. So, which means if they do not have enough evidence, because it is most likely going to be centered around evidence. Because when you take somebody to court and you are incapable of convicting such person, there may be other undercurrent after all. If you arrest people and after the arrest they are found not culpable, after incarceration they are found not culpable, certainly they may go back to court to ask court for their fundamental right which has been impeded on. And that is exactly what they are running away from. So if they cannot arraign El-Rufai and they're not sure they're going to convict him, then they should let him go and let it not be a political issue, because we are seeing arrests and incarcerations of political personalities as something that the government of the day is using to cow politicians in the various opposition groups.
All right.
Okay, so on this El-Rufai issue, it is very clear from this stance that El-Rufai has been in custody. Now, several of the things they said they found in his house, the wiretapping elements and phones they seized, a lot of phones that we saw that they seized. There has not been any particular investigation, even checking those phones too. So currently, just like you said, it's something that they need to go forward or that they need to just leave. Because looking at it from a political stance, it looks like coming from the place where El-Rufai is, what he has been doing and his backlog of being bold and predictive, saying what he actually has been saying. It actually looks like this is more political tension than it is more of a corruption case. But at the end of the day, we're going to see what happens.
All right. Looking at this issue, a lot of people will continue to raise trump up the opposition card, that this is the intimidation of opposition. But one do expect, a situation where, despite the attempted arrest at the airport when he was coming into the country, and then following the failure of the arrest, he did on 16th of February, submitted himself to EFCC. He was detained for 2 days, for questioning. And then upon release, they handed him over to ICPC. And like you rightly said, one should expect that at this point in time, before this arrest, that the agencies of government, speaking to EFCC and ICPC, should, as at that time, completed investigation. And if they are arresting him, they should be ready to prosecute. Now, keeping him incommunicado and incarcerated for this long now begins to raise issues around tomorrow that one will use to, puncture whatever decision that the court may arrive at. Remember that Nigerian law, gives the prerogative to these agencies to prove guilt and not the accused to prove his innocence. In this instance, one expects that following the rule of law, that they must have completed their investigation and not continue to incarcerate him for this long. And I may not want to, argue against people who feel that this is a politically motivated incarceration. If you found him guilty of any crime, why not take him to the open court, try him? And this man has equally, like you rightly pointed out, secured what I call a win to challenge the position of the Kaduna State Assembly that has accused him for misappropriation of their fund or diversion of their fund. In this instance, for me, the rule of law should be allowed to take its course, irrespective of party affiliation, irrespective of El-Rufai's position against this very government. Keep speaking to the issue that, look at, for example, Malami. Malami yesterday was very powerful in the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari. And today, where is Malami? Those in power today should take that as a cue. That what we need is a strong institution where the institution are preeminent and not strong men. We should do away with having strong men in our politics. Because in this instance, the rule of law is not being followed. We expect that he should be, by now, answering before the judges in court. And that's what should happen.
Okay. We move over to the next newspaper headline where we have the nations. It says ministers, others with political ambition get March 31st with date. On the nation's headline, the headline indicates that government officials, including ministers who intend to pursue political ambitions, have been given a deadline of March 31st to resign from their positions. This directive, likely tied to electoral guidelines and fairness in the political process, signals a move by the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that public office holders do not use their current positions to gain undue advantage ahead of upcoming elections.
All right, Res, are we at that point yet where we'll see political office holders resigning from their position but in this instance, we are seeing that Mr. President has given the directive for appointed office holders, ministers, special advisors who are intending to vie for office to, resign from their position prior to...
It is not even just a directive alone. It is also part of the electoral law that except the executive, the elected incumbents, these are the only people that should not resign. Those in the assemblies and those who are working as governor, president, vice president, deputy governor. These are people that do not resign while seeking re-election. Every other person, an appointee of government, is supposed to resign to seek election. So those who have the vision and the ambition to seek for election into various offices that are in the government employ have been asked to leave their offices so that they'll go and join the parties and prepare for whatever ambition or vision they have. And that is the way to go. If you are in government, you are a government appointee, and you stay right in the government offices to seek re-election, there are going to be undue influences on the activities that will lead to your election, into such an office. So people are supposed to leave. I have enumerated just the president, vice president, governors, deputy governors, and members of the assemblies, both national and state assembly. These are people that could stay in office and rerun for elections.
All right.
Well, from this, I have just one question, but before I ask my question, the thing is, looking at you being appointed and being in place of your appointment to go for a position where you be elected, it is not tallying. So from what Mr. President is saying, and he should not have come out to say this, because this is part of the electoral law. So it should be what people that wants to go for political position should just carry on. Him coming out to announce it makes it a double kind of issue. But looking at just the other time, we are having the son of former Vice President of Nigeria resigning from his position as the commissioner in his state, now going into ADC. We are seeing this as still what the Mr. President is saying, and he's an example for what we have cited. I think it is what we have to, and the people who are going into political positions should imbibe and not let the president remind them or give them an ultimatum, seeing the elections around the corner.
Let me get your reaction, Mr. Rees.
I said earlier that naturally anybody who is an appointee of government, I'm talking about commissioners, ministers, and other head of parastatals and agencies of government, are supposed to resign. In the Enugu state here, the chairman of the university board, Chiakoha, recently resigned. Possibly he may be seeking for election, and that could be why he resigned. So people are not even, it's not as if the governor told him to resign. He knows that the law stipulated that such person must resign, and that's exactly why they should resign. For the president to, remind his appointees to do that, it's not bad. You just want to, pay them well, to tell them good efforts and possibly represent us, support us, whatever you are seeking for, let it be in the renewed hope agenda.
All right, that's quite apt. Speaking to Mr. President, voicing to this part of the electoral act is quite commendable, because that's his number one image maker, and a number of times those appointees look up to him, to interpret his body language and disposition. And given this directive, we may begin to see the interpretation and replication across the subnationals as well. Having said that, this one beauty of the electoral act that nobody really point to, and speaking to that section 88 subsection 1 of this electoral act 2026, that determine that office holders need to resign if they are to seek elective positions. Having said that, what we're looking at here is strengthening our democracy, where not people would use the privilege of their office to influence the outcome of an election. And that's been the issue that we face here. A number of times when we speak to electoral malfeasance, it has to deal with those who are in office, who use their position to favor either their chosen candidate or the outcome, influence the general outcome of an election. And if we continue to toe this line, there's no doubt that over time our electoral process will be more refined in this aspect.
Okay, so in other news, we have Soludo begins second term, promises to do more for Anambra. Soludo begins second term, promises to do more for Anambra. The headline highlights the inauguration of Charles Chukwuma Soludo for a second term in office, where he reassures citizens of his commitment to deliver more development and improved governance. It reflects renewed promises to build on past achievements, address key challenges, and further enhance economic growth and infrastructure in Anambra State.
All right, before we start looking at this issue, I call for the video where we'll see the governor taking the oath of office and making his speech.
Yes, sir.
Oath of allegiance. I,
Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
to the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
and I will preserve,
and that I will preserve,
protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of
defend
Nigeria.
the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Oath of office of the Governor of the state. I,
Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR,
do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the Governor of Anambra State, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully, and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
That I will strive to preserve.
In accordance with the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law, and always in
the interest of the sovereignty,
always in the interest of the sovereignty,
solidarity,
well-being,
and the prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will strive to preserve. The fundamental objectives. And directive principles. Of the state policy. Contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will exercise the authority. Vested in me as governor. So as not to impede. Prejudice. The authority. Lawfully vested in the president. Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so as not to. Endanger the continuance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
the continuance of the federal government in Nigeria.
That I will not allow my personal interests. To influence my official conduct. Or my official decisions. That I will, to the best of my ability. Preserve. Protect. And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will abide by the Code of Conduct. Contained in the fifth schedule. To the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That in all circumstances. I will do right to all manner of people. According to law. Without fear or favor. Affection or ill will. That I will not directly. Or indirectly. Communicate. Or reveal to any person. Any matter. Which shall be brought under my consideration.
All right, seeing the governor of Anambra State take the second oath of office and vowing to be fair to all manner of men and women from Anambra State is so heartwarming. Having won his re-election bid, one expects that coming from this second term in office, that Anambra State will witness massive advanced development from where the governor took off, that this second year will be a period of consolidation on the gains that he has made in Anambra State. Despite that, Mr. Reyes, the error where we saw him, speaking and taking that oath as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that's a massive error. In itself is a massive error.
He was taking his oath as a governor,
not the president. But let me get your opinion on this second time swearing in of Chukwuma Charles Soludo.
Well, this is not the first time he's sworn in as a governor. He has gone that first, and then he's going
on the second
a second term. So the swearing-in ceremony, of course, re-election is something that portrays that one has done well. And the reward for good work is more work. And I think the Anambrians have thought it expedient that Chukwuma Soludo will come back for itself to consolidate on the gains of his administration during his first term. That is to begin to consolidate, to begin to put things together so that some of these things he has done will be sustainable for the people of Anambra State. Let's take a look at his innovation in terms of security. We know Anambra to be a very serious insecure state. You know, Anambra even at a point surpassed insecurity as was seen in Igbo State. I'm talking about Southeast as a whole. Anambra surpassed at a point. But today, you go to Anambra, it is peaceful. And he's coming in to ensure that he affects a lot of things in strict conforming, conforming strictly to the rule of law.
Conforming strictly to the rule of law, that's the expectation of all Nigerians and the Anambarians in particular. Thank you, Mr. Rex, for that in-depth insight on that oath taking.
And that's a wrap on today's newspaper headline review. You can always check out any newspaper of your choice and also revert to our social media platforms where we have these newspapers already there. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll come with more updates. Stay with us.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world. In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Many thanks for staying with us, and this is still the sunrise. And joining us now is Gerard Odo to give us heads up on the tech updates. Mr. Gerard, it's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise.
Thank you so much.
How are you this morning?
I'm very fine.
All right. So let us in on what is happening in the tech world.
Well, on the tech space, we are having so much advancements. First of all, in the artificial intelligence, certain companies across the globe have partnered with Nigerian and some other companies to make sure artificial intelligence is worthwhile. Furthermore, some companies have invested billions of dollars to make sure that Nigerian tech hubs and startups are well financed. So moving over to the Africa Acceleration Investments in Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation. Africa tends to be one of the highest or one of the biggest partners in terms of artificial intelligence, partnering with major companies such as Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, and some other GTC 2026 companies.
All right. Speaking to artificial intelligence, how is this going to help boost Nigerian businesses?
Well, with the advent of technology and with the use of artificial intelligence, it will boost Nigeria's economy and businesses in so many ways by the use of what we call AI agents. AI agents are sub-agents that help to deliver some certain tasks in the AI space. Let's say you are a businessman in the transportation sector. Those AI agents will serve as 5 to 10 of your workforce. So companies are now investing into AI and AI agents to cut or mitigate the money is being spent on some of these workers. So we are now leveraging on AI agents to help us navigate through these problems.
All right. Mr. S, speaking to these advancements, the welcome developments as well, where there are fears that these innovations may begin to take away people's jobs.
And that's exactly what I was about. If you had allowed me, I would have asked the question. That there's going to be a whole lot of loss of jobs.
Gerard,
yes,
maybe you help us because
there's going to be a whole lot of loss of job. You understand? You see humans giving jobs they could do with their hands, and now you have artificial intelligence agents doing those jobs, which means people will be made to be redundant. There will be no jobs for them, and possibly that might increase unemployment in the society.
Well, I will answer that question using what major tech startups normally say, that AI is not taking over workforce, but rather it is venturing more into what we call productivity and work efficiency. The way we see our world today is different from how we perceived it 10 or 20 years ago. So the AI is now in place to enhance what we call work productivity and efficiency in our businesses and in our various companies. In fact, according to realistic statistics, AI is valued over $1 trillion. So we see AI as now the new oil, or what we call the new crypto in 2026. So it is not here to take over the workforce. It is here to enhance and to propel work productivity within a specific given time.
Yes, but certainly, like you pointed out, because you give an instance of a transporter, maybe 5 persons were to do a job, and you can use AI and then you cut down the number of jobs, which means within the transport business, about 5 persons must have lost jobs. So what will happen to such persons?
Major investments in AI will help such persons.
Anyway, what we're looking at here is a position where with the advent of artificial intelligence, more job opportunities will be created, in other spaces and sectors where people will leverage, that advantage, like Mr. Gerard did say, like a transporter may now no longer need a multitude of staffs, but leveraging on AI, where other Nigerians may equally go into studying and taking control of the opportunity that artificial intelligence has offered in essence. But what I wonder is that perhaps we'll get to a level, Mr. S, where we'll no longer see those people shouting at the motor park, Onitsha, Enugu, Aba, Owerri, Abuja, and all that, and you see AI taking over those spaces. But these other people, perhaps, Gerard, I don't know, you are the specialist here, may have opportunities through the AI industry that you say is now running in the billions.
Good. Let me just add before he responds.
Yeah.
Even where you say those people will begin to have opportunities created by the industry, that's the AI, hub. How many of these people that shout, that load vehicle at various motorcars are educated? That's the question. You must be educated before you rise. You must be computer literate. You must have ICT knowledge before you begin to use AI. So if AI is creating jobs in its own sector, it's not for such persons. That is exactly what I am afraid of, and that's exactly what I want to know, because you already said that there could be creation of jobs.
But looking at what the AI is doing what they are doing with AI in other climes, perhaps one may begin to think that Nigeria is not yet at that point where we'll absorb the AI advancement and innovation holistically, moving forward. But one thing that is not in doubt is that the AI, the artificial intelligence industry, is booming, and we may leverage on that equally, to boost our economy. And even our fight against terrorism, we have to leverage on the artificial intelligence as well.
Certainly, I do believe you that AI is a very big industry. It hasn't even exploded. Yeah. It is still, developing. It is developing because we're going to get beyond what it is.
You remember when we were talking about the treaty with Turkey, where we said beyond, handing over these drones, they should be able to, be a transfer of knowledge so that we can produce these drones here as well. Yeah. And perhaps that in itself as well will create more jobs.
And of course, with the AI industry, you could also power these drones. Even presently, we are beginning to see even jets, fighters going on drones, going for attacks without being manned by anybody.
Manned by artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Manned by artificial.
All right, Mr. General.
Yeah, well, what I can say about this is that we should look at the bigger picture here.
Okay.
AI is revolutionizing in a very big way in all sectors, be it in medicine, be it in security, be it in counterterrorism, be it in politics, be it in all tiers or spheres of life. So the major or the big picture cannot be overlooked. So I think we should look much more in the holistic or in the bigger picture of what AI has to offer in our continent than some other.
No, yes, you're right. Yes. We look at the bigger picture, but we have to point out the underlying issues here. While we advance, there are still a fallout from this advancement that may impact either positively and negatively on the people. And like we just cited, we're using the case of the motor park canvassers, for example. If their jobs are taken over, there are a lot of fundamentals that has to be in place to ensure that when we embrace holistically this advancement, it doesn't have adverse effect on the populace or the Nigerian people, where people begin to lose their job without having any succor as to where the next meal will come from and all that.
Well, that is a very important gap that the AI industry must mitigate, because you are trying to carry everybody along in this particular system. You're trying to carry everybody along. So that is a very important gap they must fill in.
So lecturers will begin to lose jobs as well.
They won't lose their jobs, but it will make their jobs much more faster.
Much more faster.
Exactly, because a lecturer that can actually talk to 1,000 students comfortably, with the advance of AI, can talk to more than 1 million students.
Wow.
At the same time. So you tend to see that what AI is trying to bring to our world is actually very big and very, very much beneficial in all sectors of life.
All right.
In terms of interaction, like you said about the lecturer, will he have effective interaction with the students?
I call it seamless communication interaction, where students will now have access to advanced intel and knowledge based on that discipline that they are trying to learn. So let's say they are going into mechanical engineering, they will now have this opportunity of learning advanced mechanical engineering with practical steps on how to follow through all this.
Not just about it, I'm talking about your interaction with your lecturer. The lecturer is talking to about 1,000 students. And then we are talking about how we can begin to, the one that from one person to the other, those who ask questions, trying to clarify issues from the lecturer.
Yes, there is a system, a seamless system provided for such an interaction.
I understand where you're going. You are trying to point out that human aspect of teaching where you have, but perhaps as we advance in this AI industry, we'll begin to see the pros and cons here. When we're speaking to this issue, it now reminds me that we're having test tube babies. And part of the issues that people raise is that will these test tube babies be devoid of emotion? I know human beings are guided by the emotion more often than not. So we'll look and welcome these advancements as
general robots are beginning to have
emotions. Okay.
All right, thank you very much for that tech update. We go on a short break. When we return, we come with what's trending.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Thank you for staying with us, and we're still on the morning sunrise this morning on Aneke TV. And joining us with what's trending is Sandra Ogu. Sandra, it's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise.
Thank you very much.
And before you start, let me ask my signature question. How, seeing you all smiles, how is Nigeria treating you?
We are trying. Nigeria is trying.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that. Nigeria is trying. I will just clip it there. Nigeria is trying for all of us. All right. Let's know what's trending this morning.
Okay, on what is trending this morning, we see the complaints and questions that people are giving on the bomb blast in Maiduguri, which many people said that Trump has blasted Tinubu for going to UK the next day of, like the day after the attack. And then we see a tweet and a reel that was posted by @Reels Donald Trump. He said that the situation in Nigeria is a total disaster. Massive coordinated suicide bombing tonight in Maiduguri, a hospital, a major market, a post office, all hit. Many innocent people killed. This is what happens when you have no leadership and open borders for terrorists. While his country is in a state of national emergency, President Tinubu is currently in the UK on a state visit. Unbelievable. Shaking hands and having fancy dinners while his people are being blown up. I don't think so. Prime Minister Starmer should tell him to get on a plane and go home immediately. You don't stay abroad during a crisis like this. A real leader is on the ground with the military and the people, not cutting ribbons in London. Nigeria is a great country with wonderful people, but they are being let down by a government that isn't focused on strength and security. Close the borders, find the terrorists, and protect your citizens. Everything else can wait. So this is the complaint. Now we bring it to the question that everybody is asking. Do you think Nigeria is a safe zone for people to inhabit? Or do you think that something like this will happen again?
All right. Let me quickly run to Mr. Ress on this very issue. Speaking to Nigeria being a safe place for people to inhabit. People has been here, and people will continue to be here. Mr. Ress, let me get your opinion.
It is not even about safety. The only thing is that we have been born and bred. We are confined to here, where we don't have any other place to call our own. There's no other country we call our own. That is why we are here. It is not because we have the best of safety. It's not because we have the best of everything or the best of anything. We find out that we are basically suffering in so many sectors. We don't have electricity, we don't have Medicare, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have employment, we don't have so many things, and we have insecurity. So these are all here, but there's no place to run to. Therefore, we continue to be in Nigeria.
So in the Nigerian palace, we say we'll die here.
We die here, we salvage it together here. Because how do you begin to look at it? Where are you going to go? The borders of other nations are closed. So where are you going to run to? So you stay in Nigeria and salvage it together. But for what is trending, it is very apt. The people that criticize the leadership of this country, I think they are right to a great extent. The fact that our leadership will leave to junket, I use the word junketing, that is going for dinners, doing some kind of happiness things. It's junketing.
But he's bringing some business deals to Nigeria.
Which business deals? We are talking about a royal visit.
A royal visit in which some treaties will be signed.
Let the treaties be signed and let the treaties be such that will affect
It's
going
to advance the ports in Nigeria.
Don't worry about that. The ports in Nigeria have been working, and it has not been advanced it has not been advanced. So it is now going to be advanced because of the visit to London. And about recorded 23 dead, 108 in various hospitals. And who is even sure that the whole 108 will make it alive?
All right.
So criticizing Mr. President is a sure thing to be done. And in talking about responsibility, our government and leadership must take to the path of responsibility to the Nigerian.
All right. Let's get your opinion.
Well, it's the same thing everyone is saying, I'm saying, because like yesterday, the order was given for the security chief to move to the bomb scenario to where the whole thing happened. I think we are on the same page looking at the issues. Of course, Trump wanted to have a visit or to make a move. He wanted to travel. There's somewhere in the news that he wanted to travel, but even while the escalation in Iran is going, he said he's shifted it to 3 weeks. That's what we saw. But right now, our president is somewhere having, of course, that was actually by invitation from the King Charles III. At the end of the day, we're going to see more of our policies, like Mr. Che has been pointing out, our policies being mended while we are being mended in our own country by the terrorists. I believe that all these things will turn into a better scenario that all of us will rejoice, just like Nigeria treating us and being our motherland. We cannot go anywhere.
All right. One thing is that Mr. S will die here. Now our country is we don't have any other country. Yes, and my position has always been that Nigeria will be built by Nigerians. Irrespective of the treaties, the collaborations, Nigeria will be built by Nigeria, and we'll have no other place to call home.
Yeah.
East, south, west, north, no place like home. Wherever we go, we must definitely come home. But this coming from Mr. Trump, or President Trump, I will look at it from different perspective. One, when he's speaking to responsible leadership, I quite agree with him that in moments of crisis, it behoves on the government to offer leadership. And like you did point out, I keep speaking to the Nigerian state and Nigerians beginning to lose the very, forget the very sanctity of life. 23 lives were lost. And for me, it's enough for Mr. President to postpone this royal visit. But having said that, this coming from a president that has taken, should be responsible when they make decisions that impact other people's lives. That's not to say that I do not, and I am not excited that somebody is holding our government to account. Yes, we expect more. We expect, like we always say every morning, that the borders should be closed, that the life and property of Nigerians are the primary business of government. Having said that, we do expect that when Mr. President comes back, that he would heed the advice from his friend, President Donald Trump, and see that things are escalating faster to curb insecurity in Nigeria.
Okay, still going on my second trending matter. This one has to do with the Abuja-Kaduna train collision, where we see that the incident reportedly occurred as one train was approaching the station and slowing down when another train struck it from behind, and it caused an impact of a forceful push enough to throw passengers off their seats, triggering panic and confusion on board. So we bring me to the question, do you think that this incident has sparked renewed skepticism in train transport, in fact in transport in general, because passengers are beginning to question the efficiency of safety standard of Nigerian Railway Corporation system?
All right, Mr. Rex, I see you're eager to...
not just being eager. This is a serious, grievous error and technical error.
Yeah.
You know, for train, it's not always easy. It is once in a while problem for train to collide, or you collide with one another because of the way they are done. If you see that on the social media, AI and so on, you see that it's just where you have the lane for the other train to go and so on. Just within minutes, they will just push the other one. The other one will go, and the next will also go its own way. It is a technical error. So what has to be done is to begin to find out who was supposed to handle what, and then who was piloting. The train drivers are not pilots. We call them operators. So who was operating the train at that point, and was he sleeping for him to collide, or has he failed? Has he gotten to a technical situation?
Sorry to cut you in. To put it in the right perspective, this coalition wasn't with an oncoming train.
Collision.
It wasn't a collision. What happened was that a coach collided with the same train.
Yes.
You understand? A boat went off, and the coach collided with the front. You understand? The one that is in front of it, the other coach in front of it. That was what happened. Throwing people.
It's also a technical error.
Yes, yes.
Possibly those who are supposed to tight and which resulted in what it is. But I believe it is a very serious technical error, and it should not be allowed to reoccur. Otherwise, the interrogation about safety standards will begin to take the center of our discourse.
Okay, based on this, it's very simple. This is the, will I say first time or just the second time this kind of thing is happening in Nigeria. The first one was a train that nearly fell out of its rail. Yes, that nearly fell out of its rail. It was just, we could see that was a miracle. And this one is the coach boss jamming the train. Like Mr. Rex has said, it is something that we have to look into. But we rarely hear about trains having such issues in Nigeria. I think we are actually making progress. If we can also bring this around, this is just where it is. This is just still in the area where it is in the north or around the middle east north belt. So we're going to see at the end of the day what it's going to be.
All right, so speaking to this issue, right, Mr. Rice, you really pointed out that this is a technical issue, and like the controller of this agency did say, they are investigating, and we lend our voice that a holistic investigation be carried out on the matter. This is not the first time that the Kaduna Abuja line, has been on, and there's had an issue like this. There's always been accidents associated with this Kaduna from Rigasa to Abuja route. In this same very route, we remember the incident around Chidema and Co. So this is not the first time, and they need to, bring in together as to the issue of safety, so that the passengers would, be confident that when they travel through this route, that they are going to get to their destination in one piece. It's become another accident too many on this very route. We do not hear about such accidents on other routes. It's usually between the Regasa station in Kaduna through Ido Abuja route that you see these encounters. Even when we saw the terrorist ambush of a train, it was still through this route, So they need to properly investigate and see that everything are brought together on this very route going forward. So Sandra Obu, thank you very much for this was trending. It's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll have Gift Obodo letting us know what's happening in the entertainment world.
Morning headlines before you step out. Midday updates while you walk. Evening analysis when the day winds down. Wherever life takes you, Aneke TV keeps you informed, connected, and ahead. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
All right, joining us on Entertainment Update is Gift Obodo. Miss Gift, a pleasure to have you on Sunrise.
Yeah, thank you.
How is Nigeria treating you this morning?
Very much okay.
All right, before we come over to you, I quickly call on the glowing reception, our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, how he was received in the UK. What a glowing reception. Mr. Rez, you saw how our president, the #1 citizen of Nigeria, was welcomed at the United Kingdom, where he would further be received at the Windsor Castle, the first of a Nigerian leader to be so welcomed at the Windsor Castle.
In 4 decades.
So,
okay, the first in Windsor Castle.
Yes, he is the first.
The second of such visits.
No, but we're speaking to the royal reception at Windsor Castle.
Yeah,
he is the
Windsor,
first.
yeah,
We are pointing out the first.
First in Windsor Castle.
Yes.
I
so what's the significance for us being the first to be welcomed at
What is it mean for somebody must be the first of anything?
No, but it speaks to the importance, and the respect the royal family accords to our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I do not see anything special about that trip. Nothing special about it. There's so much to actually do in Nigeria. As the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, we are executing a war and our President is traveling. And you are telling me, what do I expect? What am I going to get excited about? The kind of reception he's giving at the airport in the UK? He's a president, of course. The country is visiting must accord him that. Remember, Nigeria is a Commonwealth country, and of course UK is the headquarters of Commonwealth. So you are just visiting your headquarters. And of course, UK also, colonized us, trained Nigerians, brought in all the things that we are presently using, the kind of education we are using and everything. So there will always, according to say respect, yes, Nigeria will be respected as a nation where the UK has transformed its economy.
Anyways, that's a matter of opinion. What be that as it may, the fight against insurgency and a lot of happenings in Nigeria will not allow that to take away, from the glowing tribute and manner which Mr. President was received. Speaking to, yes, Nigeria is a member of the Commonwealth, but it speaks to the pride of place which the United Kingdom and Prince Charles has accorded Nigeria in this time, and being that Nigeria is expected to offer leadership in Africa. So at a time like this, you know that there will be a lot of talks on a lot of happenings around Nigeria, and we hope, while yes, there may be skepticism as to the timing, but this is already a pre-scheduled visit. While we are speaking to the timing and all that, there's no doubt that there will be a lot of good that would come to the country from this very visit. And do remember that Mr. President is the #1 image maker of this nation, and at this time we need to deal with the image of the country. Perception is everything. But having said that, Miss Giftobudo, let's know what's happening in the entertainment world.
I have a current gist that the entertainment world is all about Pella, the almighty Pella, who we know as an online streamer on his visit tour to different states, which has resulted to a heavy conflict, most especially in his visit to the Benin City and to the palace. And the queen is about to be kicked out of the palace, given that Pella, he gave access to the palace, and the elders and the king has described this as an embarrassment, and Pella has been ordered to write an apology for accessing the palace and streaming there. And the Benin Palace is a sacred place and not a playground for kids. And as a result of this, it has generated so many controversy if actually this is a place of child's play. And moving over to my second gist is about Mohbad, the popular singer, the late singer, whose family's medical questions lack capacity for DNA tests.
All right, Mr. Reyes, we've seen a streamer called Pella having access to the royal house in Benin, and here we're listening to the Queen being stripped of her royal accolades for allowing a streamer, Pella, access. And also we've had issues around the DNA test, speaking to the dead singer, Mohbad. Though the lawyer is raising questions around the capacity of the appointed hospitals by the court to conduct DNA tests.
And from the last one, it's an interrogation to the confidence which they will have on the outcome of the DNA test. But at the same time, there must be a DNA test that will be accepted before the court as an evidence. The Evidence Act, bans on scientific tests that will show that his death was either by this or by that and all that. Then on the issue of streaming, Pella going to stream at the Benin Palace, you see, naturally, whenever, even in the United States, if there's anything you need to do in the White House, you must go through the normal process, applying, ensuring there's security, scrutiny, and everything. And if they are going to offer you that, you will now be free to come in and do, but you don't come through the back door. The Queen is not the head of the palace, and the Queen is not supposed to authorize a streamer to come into the palace and stream. Unfortunately, the paraphernalia of office of the Queen is going to be removed from her. No, well, they should tamper justice with mercy. Since they have already asked Bella to write an apology, then it means they have also begun to think about forgiving. It will not be fair if they strip the Queen of her queenship. It will be wrong. I plead with the Benin monarch to tamper justice with mercy.
Well, looking at this same issue, it's nothing to be taken home about. Me, I will tell you that Bella himself should write the apology they asked him to write. And that's a wrap on this edition of Sunrise on Aneke TV. Thank you for waking up with us. It's always a pleasure. I'm Good Hope Chukuma.
And thank you, Ms. Gift Sobodo, for that entertainment update.
Thank you.
All right. And Mr. S, what a pleasure. Those in-depth analysis, though we differ on so many things, but it's always a pleasure to have you here on Sunrise.
Yeah, certainly. It's about opinion, and all the opinions will not be the same.
All right. And I'm Uche Osai. On behalf of all of us here on Sunrise at Aneke TV, we'll say thank you for watching and keep watching till we come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV, move with the world. In an age of endless information, the true advantage is not access, it is interpretation. Welcome to Aneke TV, where journalism goes beyond headlines, beyond reaction, beyond speculation. Here, stories are investigated, issues are analyzed, voices are challenged, because an informed society is a stronger society. A discerning audience is a powerful audience. We are live. Daily broadcasting, relentless clarity. Aneke TV, where knowledge meets broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Oath of allegiance. I, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God. Oath of office of the Governor of the state. I, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the Governor of Anambra State, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully, and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the law. That I will strive to preserve. In accordance with the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law, and always in the interest of the sovereignty, solidarity, well-being, and the prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will strive to preserve the fundamental objectives and directive principles of the state policy contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will exercise the authority vested in me as governor. So as not to impede, prejudice, the authority lawfully vested in the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and so as not to endanger the continuance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in Nigeria. That I will not allow my personal interest to influence my official conduct or my official decisions. That I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will abide by the code of conduct contained in the fifth schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That in all circumstances, I will do right to all manner of people. According to law. Without fear or favor. Affection or ill will. That I will not directly. Or indirectly. Communicate. Or reveal to any person. Any matter. Which shall be brought under my consideration. Or shall become known to me as the governor. Of Anambra State. Except
Many thanks for joining us on The Insight. The Insight is the program where we bring to you politics, policies, personalities shaping our nation. We look at Igbo youth and the future of politics 2027. The Insight we turn the searchlight on generations standing at a dangerous crossroad. Igbo youths are the numbers that win election, the voices that dominate our streets and our screens. Yet, as 2027 approaches, they still risk being treated as spectators in a game they actually are. Between crushing economic hardship, lingering insecurity, disillusionment from past broken promises, and the new wave of political courtship already underway, the question is urgent. Will Igbo youths finally organize as a serious political force with a clear agenda, or will they once again sell their future for handouts, hashtags, and red-tailed crowds? This conversation is not about theory. It's about whether a generation that believes for Nigeria will insist on also leading in the future. And joining us this morning to give flesh to these issues is Sir Aneke Abo, a public affairs analyst and a strong, proud son of Southeast and Igbo land. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you on the Insight.
Thank you very much, Uche.
Yes, we're looking at the Igbo youths and the future of politics 2027 in focus. But before we get into this conversation, let me get your perspective on the Igbo youth involvement in politics so far.
Oh, okay. I think it is one of the most apt conversation to have now. A few months to the elections, everybody who bothers about the future of Southeast will be wondering, where are we headed? But before you could be able to find a compass to where you're going, you must be very, very knowledgeable and well abreast with where you're coming from. If your journey has taken too long, you should be asking the question, why this length of time? I would be very, very blunt to say that the Igbo youth has never really found their feet in the political circle in Nigeria. Even when, if you say our fathers, maybe you won't date it back to the days of Nnamdi Azikiwe and Odumegwu Ojukwu. Then that was the last generation of young Igbo people that took their destinies by their hand. Well, most times I wonder, maybe because we were not this much then, maybe the people were relatively very few to control and put heads together. I've heard stories and accounts of the Biafran civil war in Nigeria, the involvement of those who have become very old and aged these days, telling you how they were enrolled. In fact, somebody was telling me a few days ago how he was rejected at the recruitment point and he had to go through the back door, had to do whatever because he wanted to be in the army. And a friend of mine who visited the old man was saying that he doesn't think there's any Igbo young person now who would dare to do that. So if you look at where they led us off, and in that conversation, I brought up the perspective of whether those fathers then that were young people actually were conscious and intentional about passing on their zeal, passing on the passion to which they both fought for the Igbo land and they identify with the Nigerian nation. So far so good. Most of our young people have been distracted, largely distracted. They see politics only as a place where you come to grab and go. They don't even know that politics is the vehicle, it is the foundation. Vehicle is the catalyst to where your future is decided. So unfortunately, most of them don't look beyond politics. After 2023, a lot of people who were not very satisfied with the outcome of the election fast forwarded their mind to 2027. And all their conversation has been what happened in the election, whether we are accepting or not accepting. The length of time from the election of 2023 to that of 2027, most young people have been largely involved in banter, expression of anger, and 2027 is just around the corner, like I said, a few months from now. nothing has changed. They are also going the same way. People who are angry are totally disconnected and expressing anger and displeasure. Those who are trying to align are not looking beyond what they will get at. I've had a lot of conversation for the pre-campaign era of 2027. I've heard a lot of people talk about support groups. All they are saying is they should know. And I gave it okay, in English, I think it really means the water that you use to extract oil from the palm kernel.
That means greasing the palm.
Exactly. So what they mean by that is we want to form. In fact, I've seen a whole number of support group already sprung up, but I know that more will still come. People will come and say, friends of Onyedika's G17, Onyedika this and that. All they are interested in there are very few who might be saying, let's work and hope to be part of the government when it goes into formation. But majority will be, if we are coming, what are you going to give us? So that point of what you're going to give us is where largely most of our young people are stopped for now. And it's unfortunate because it has traced to the fact that I don't really see so much of a future even in the 2027 exercises.
Sorry, you do not see so much of a future?
Yes, I won't say totally, but I didn't see so much of it because I've done my engagement for a very long time now, and I've been in youth development. So one of the reasons why I might not be very let me say hard, I might not be very firm in trying to, when you talked about this topic, you saw that I paused on the phone and I said, is this something I want to discuss? Because I don't like treating topics with diplomacy. Try to mind your words. I'm not used to that. So if I'm going to talk about the Igbo youths and the elections and the future of the Southeast or politics, it's something I will not want to chew my words. So I have done a lot of engagement. My involvement in youth development and trying to be around young people, it is hard. Because if we go into what has become the trend of the day now, that's a topic for another day. But good enough we're having the opportunity to discuss this. It will also help viewers who might become, who might want to lay back and think deeply, who might want to do reflective in their actions and decisions, who might want to, for once, pause and say, because I'm Igbo, what do I think as an Igbo nation we are headed from here? Anger is not such a bad thing. Not accepting what has happened, displeasure also is not bad. But if these angers are not going to be translated into tangible results that will be futuristic, not just for those of us who are living now, but for the generation that are coming after us, then there's no need of those angers.
Yeah, very apt, but before we move forward, I'd like to track back a bit. I've had this conversation with you in the past around similar conversation, and listening to you talk, you quietly mentioned it again, that the Igbos never found their footing in politics. And I want to track back a bit to ask similar question I did ask in the past, because being a student of history, I want to know what it is that is the challenge for a people who are so industrious, so innovative, and thrives in every sphere of human endeavor, yet not finding their footing in politics, Nigerian politics in particular, because I know that there are Igbo sons and daughters who are doing well in Canada, some are mayors, even in the UK and other places. So coming back home, what is it that makes it difficult for them to find their footing?
Okay, foundation is everything. We lost it at a point. And sometimes, if you are working in the matrix of circles, there's a place where you lose a certain connotation. It will be very difficult, most times almost impossible, if not totally impossible, to reconnect and catch up with what the outcome or result of such metrics are supposed to be. Indeed, we lost it, especially from after the war. The resilience and the enterprising spirit with which they bounced back in in business, in trying to survive again. I think that's those passions and the never say never of the spirit of Igbo man concentrated only on their enterprise, which is not totally bad. But if we are going to say, because of how enterprising we are, we don't bother about politics, we should first of all consider and note the consequences. It's just very few, not long ago, that some of our people started saying, we can't just keep saying we don't care who wins as long as we do our businesses, because some decisions of these politicians can directly affect those businesses you're doing. So now, I'll say it in two ways. First, if we're going to trace it back, we must have to have this heart-to-heart talk. And it's a talk where we will do soul searching. It's not a talk you do in a hurry. It's not a talk you will be angry about. It's not something you say because you're not listening to my own. Can't you see your eye? Who is even your father in Igbo and who knows you? It's not a time for name calling and bad mouthing. I said in two ways. That's first one. If we're going to do reflective, then assuming we will have the opportunity, there are so many people which I don't see, of young people now who are saying, wait, how old was Ojukwu when he fought in the war? You could imagine how old he was when he got enlisted, when he became the Governor General. You could ask questions apart from the Southeast. The other leaders, even those who were military administrators in various regions in the country, those who became head of states and presidents, how old were they? Even if abstract it to 1999, just yesterday, a few years ago, how old was the first governor of that republic in Enugu State? How old were his counterparts around the southeast here? So it's something I really find very difficult, because if we continue to talk about the problem, we will live with the problem for as long as we are alive. But if we now say, okay, how do we find a solution? Because most of the time, there was a day we did civil society engagement in a very cozy hall. I think speakers after speakers were taking mic. The problem of Nigeria is our leaders. The problem of Nigeria is politicians. The problem of Nigeria is civil servant. The problem of Nigeria is police. I kept hearing problem. So I requested for the mic. I said, more than 7 persons have talked about the problem of Nigeria. What is the solution? And I told them the problem of Nigeria is those of you who are speaking. Because most times, I found out that the loudest and the most analytical people are the ones who keep bringing and beating up this problem issue. How are we going to tackle the solution? And if you're not part of the solution, you're definitely part of the problem, because your actions and inactions so many times contribute to the challenges we have. So what I propose, which I see is going to be second angle to it, is until we are ready to come to that conversation table, to that round table discussion, to say we failed it at a certain point, we can't keep blaming those who have handed the baton to us, whether consciously or unconsciously. How do we move forward? Then the way to move forward is this conversation about that same enterprising spirit, that same zeal with which we know that once we set our minds to do certain things, of course, it's no longer a story how any woman goes into a bush and start clearing a small ground. Before you know it, giving few months, getting to years, that place will be turned into a very business hub, because we know how to start small, build until we conquer. So we also need to approach politics from that angle. And if we're going to be totally intentional as a nation, well, we know that there are people who will live to do the politics, and those who, because there are a lot of things that you look around, you don't see here again. I think there was a time we had a program here and we talked about the apprenticeship system, the Iba boy, that made a lot of our small boys in the villages turn into multi-millionaires in few years. All those things are dying down. This quick syndrome that is ravaging almost every home in the southeast. We need to be very conscious, because most of the times when I hear people express anger and speak very loudly about how Nigeria has not been totally fair, so if after that your anger, are you going to pass it to your children to also inherit the same problem and complain about how they have not been fairly treated? Which the challenge before us cannot surmount the opportunity we have to build a new breed of young Igbo people for the future. Because if we don't do that, we've already gotten it wrong. There's a place where we miss the track, but I don't see where we're thinking about how to get the solution to get back on track. 2027, I don't know whether I'm going to be very loud about my predictions. There was a time I predicted an election here, and it happened almost more than 90%. So, but what I see in 2027, I don't even know whether I'm ready to say it out, because most of our people don't understand that politics has no place for sentiment and weakness. It is not for the weak.
Sorry, politics has no place for
Sentiments and weakness at all. Because if we are going to do politics, we're going to sit down and be blunt and say, this is how we're going to approach it. Most politicians are looking at the end result. So when you're saying that they are not being fair, they're not balancing it, they are not looking at those things. They are saying, how do we get to this point? And if we're going to be involved in politics as Ndigbo, we'll also come to a point where we say, keep sentiments, emotions, and anger aside. We're going to approach this politics to get a result, and we'll be saying, what is the result we are going to be looking for?
All right. But how are we going to do this? Do we come as a collective or as individuals? Because why I ask this question is that I'm beginning to see a lot of Igbo group beginning to make call for an Igbo president in 2027. So I ask, do we need to come together as a collective and make demands or approach on the way to go? Or do we, as Aneke Abu, make decision on your own, and Uche Osa, you make decision, and then we all get involved?
Okay, this last one, individual decisions and then getting involved, is also part of the reasons why we have not really gotten any headway. First, let me look at Igbo presidency by 2027. The possibility, the odds, I don't see it happening. Well, a lot of us who are...
You don't see the Igbo presidency?
No, not happening in 2027. The reason is because apart from the fact that the Nigerian multi-ethnic nature calls for balance. We've had a northerner for 8 years, so quite expected that the south will do 8 years, and a southwestern man is already there. If you live by indices, most northerners, apart from those who are very disenchanted with the president now, most northerners will tell you that giving another southerner 4 years will automatically translate to 8 years, and they're not interested in giving any person the presidency, or okay, maybe not really giving, because power is not given. It's given somehow, but not given a la carte. Now, if they have the belief, there are some places where they are doing the permutation now. You're going to sign for us that you do only 4 years, and anybody can agree to that. But we all know that the power of, just like they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah. When you become a president, you can do and don't do. So many of them would say, better stick with the devil and finish up and return to us than take that chances. That's one. The second one is there are calculations you do in politics. Why largely in the southeast and the Enugu here in particular, why opposition is not always very strong is that most of the people who are viable, when they look at these odds and they say there are no chances, like when I ran for election in 2019, Even young people, they were telling me, oh, you're such a good candidate. We know what you've been doing. We like you, but we know you will not win. That angered me. It wasn't the best because even before I stood for that election in 2019, I voted in the past where I say, I believe in Uche Osai. He doesn't have so much crowd. But I won't vote for someone else because he's going to win. I'm going to throw that my vote for my conscience and what I believe in. I'll come and vote it. I voted in 2 elections where only 1 vote for a particular party was my vote. Now, why also we have not advanced that much is that majority of the people who are looking at these odds are cowardice in nature. It is a two-way thing. Some of them might be saying we don't even want to risk it. Uche doesn't have so much chances. Maybe Mr. Abel has the chance. Let's just follow him. It doesn't matter who he is. It doesn't matter what he's doing. And there are those who would say, if we have found the most credible candidate in Uche, and he doesn't have so much crowd, why don't we mobilize? Why don't we tell others, come and see what we're seeing in this person? Because most of the elections are not considered by the credibility of the candidate. It is by his chances to win, how much money he will have to throw around during campaign. So having considered that, some of the things I will be doing in 2027, some of the candidates I'll be voting might not have aligned totally with my voting pattern for over 24 years now. The reason is that I've done something for more than two decades. And I found out that I'm not getting enough army, despite my voice. I think that at the point I was one of the foremost, most popular analysts we have in Enugu here. All the radio stations, all the speaking in functions, seminars, telling people, using even my own resources to fund and call. But it seems that the people are not listening. When I stood up for, when I ran for election in 2019, the title of my campaign was "Let's Prove a Point," because I found someone who I said, this is mean, if this person is going to be on the ballot, we don't even need any other person from any other party. He was doing everything I would consider my own assessment, what a candidate, a credible candidate, a politician should do. Very close to the primaries of his own party, the party stakeholders and the then governor said, no, you're a good man, but we'll choose someone else. Somebody was not even campaigning, who was not, I said, no. I told some of the people who were supporting this guy with me, I said, let's prove a point. The first point is that let's prove that you can be on the ballot. It must not have to be this party. Let's also prove a point that you can win election for. In fact, what later happened in 2023 was most of the things I used as campaign speeches in 2019. Now, if we are looking at the chances of having an Igbo president in 2027, there are certain boxes that must have been ticked by now, because the election is less than a year. So, and we are looking at a formation where the only person a lot of young people believe in that is credible enough that will answer to their yearning is in a coalition where decisions have not been made up till now. Is in a coalition where at a point we're looking at it that even the people from the north might still want to have him as a running mate. So if you look at all these things and you know that the chances is slim, you now come to the question of what should the Igbo youth be doing now ahead of 2027? Because if we don't build for the future today, what we complain about today, we might still complain about it in the future.
All right. And you rightly raised the next question. What should the Igbo youth be doing? We're going to build to this moment, but since the conversation is on already, a number of times the Igbo youth are chastised for not being emotional, following certain pattern, certain candidates, rather than aligning with people whom, or persons or parties that stand chances of winning. And I ask, in this period, should we rather go to places or people who feel they stand a chance to win the next election? In that way, we stand a better chance of negotiating our position going into 2027?
If you ask me, which I wouldn't really call it the angle of being chastised. Yes, I've also quarreled with a lot of people, especially those who are not from Southeast, when they say the Igbo people don't know how to play politics. Considering some of our own challenges, some of these challenges that we can't help, moving forward into 2027, the first proposition should have been, are we even speaking as a people? You know, you ask the question of whether it should be individuals doing their things or whether we should come together. That coming together option, is it something that is really working? Because if you want to look at even the obedient wave, whether people believe Peter Obi should be the Messiah or not, and those who think, I've had a lot of conversation where young people are saying, they will mention the name of this politician, this former governor, this former this, and say, oh, they discredit every other human being and say, it's only Peter that they have known. And that also calls for a very, very introspective question that we have to even throw the person of Peter Obi on the table and totally x-ray both his credibility, leadership capability, and his being as in expunging the sentimental angle of his being, because Peter got over 6 million votes in 2023, and we've spent roughly 3 years, and from then, that's why I say when you discuss youth and politics, you really need to be mindful of how you explain, so that, because a lot of people, I've had a conversation even 2 days ago. I was in an online meeting with people abroad. Somebody was very angry. 2 Igbo people were at the neck of each other, and I came in and said, most of the time we have this conversation, even when we have all the other people, tribes of Nigeria, I don't think I've encountered them being this aggressive. This is brother to brother talk. I may not like your choices, Uchi, but we are brothers. I can't help it. We've been bounded here by brotherhood. So let me find a way to look thoroughly into your own point. If I don't agree with you, try to present mine without being loud and abusive. Now, because what I was about to say related to what threw up that conversation, and I told them, how can we really say that from having secured the number of votes will be secured, people believed he won and was shortchanged? Whether that's true or not, check the arithmetic of the time and now. And I ask the question, I ask it on this program boldly, what leadership capacity or role has Peter demonstrated, which I will expect even the online viewers to help me with that answer. What has he done to demonstrate that I didn't win this election, but even though I know maybe because I don't think he was asking for to be declared the president in court. There were some things he prayed the court. Make me president was not part of it. So if he now says, maybe I didn't win this election outrightly, but the person that was declared winner is not the right winner. Moving forward into the next election, this is the way I'm going to be in charge of that section of people that elected me. There were people who were elected on the same platform that Peter ran for election, into the National Assembly, into state assemblies. I wanted to have seen how he harnessed the potentiality of those people to form caucus, what you could call the Labour Party caucus of National Assembly and state assemblies. There were a lot of other things that a president would have had held of. There are people who believe that Peter Some of them were even saying he's my president. So I was also looking at some presidential attributes in his action, because we cannot continue to beat around. I don't totally believe that chastisement was or would always be out of place, because we have a peculiar situation where I don't like what you're doing and you have continued to do this, and I've continued to be angry to express it. Sometimes I will abuse you, call you names, so we get to the same circle again and we do the same thing. If we haven't come to a point where we say, okay, can we change our approach, because we must have to come together. When we look at the candidacy of the other party, these people, others might be referring that they're having the chances to win, which it will be a topic for another day for us to really look into. Are they really being considered only based on that they have chances to win? Are there things that this administration have done that is quite worth clapping for? Are there things that are tough decisions that I have taken? There's no administration that has been perfect from the time of Obasanjo till now, but there are also some takeaways. What are this person what are the things this person is doing that will make me say this is not my ideal administration when it comes to presidency, but there are these things I am taking away? And if you want to be a critic and your criticism is only spotlighting the bad, negativity, it gives a very bold and large question mark about who you are, because you must be able to balance it. Uche does well here, but this is where I don't like what Uche Osai is doing. Any reasonable, good thinking person will say, okay, for the fact that you could look at the good side and you're pointing at the bad side, I will listen to what you have to say about the bad side. But if you're only seeing bad, if the bad is the only thing you're seeing, I'll have a question mark, and it's going to be a very large and bold one.
All right, Aneke, on that note, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue to probe this very niggling question. The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with
the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless.
It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose heart is God.
I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last block.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on The Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. Many thanks for still staying with us. You're watching The Insight, and we've been discussing with a public affairs analyst, a proud Igbo son of Southeast extraction, Aneke Abo, and we're looking at Igbo youth and the future of politics 2027 in focus. So Aneke, it's been an in-depth conversation around the Igbo youth's involvement in politics, especially with special look focus on 2027. Now, we've been having this conversation around where the focus should be for the Igbo youths, and I want to look at a current trend, citing the APC as it has to do with the Southeast, where the governors, when they move to APC from PDP, they will tell us that they are aligning Southeast to the center. That we do not need to continue to be in the opposition. We need to align with the powers, that is in place as of today, and that will be more economically beneficial for Southeast. And then I ask, should the Igbo youths not toe the line of these political frontliners who feel it's better for us to be aligned at the center rather than, emotionally following the usual pattern of wanting an Igbo representation, rather the realistic fortunes on ground?
If you look at it in length of the conversation, especially the way I've done the analysis, you will know that for the first time in history, and for the first time in my own personal opinion, I think I will encourage the Igbo youths to listen to their governors. You know, this is also something you say, and a lot of people who, I've said something similar. Somebody said, if not that you are here in flesh and blood, I would have said your voice was cloned. We've done something for quite a good number of time. And because if you've not tried anything before, or you've not tried something, you'll be wondering or bothered about whether actually this will be the right path to follow, whether this will yield results. But we've tried it, and we've seen that it's not working. Now, there's nothing wrong in opposition. I did opposition for over 20 years, consciously and very intentional about it. At a point, I was turning down offers from ruling party. In fact, the first time I did turning down offer was in 2002. You could see how young, exactly. So, if we have looked at it, which we don't have the foundational truth to make this sink into a lot of our young people, because what they they understand now is that we're being marginalized. They don't like us. The economy is bad, and these people really are not connected to the masses. So what you're saying does not make sense. But there's a truth in the connecting to the center aspect. As a very active person in the Southeast, who have also worked with some of the high-ranking people in government here in the state, there are certain things that might not be very easy flowing for me to execute, whether it's personal or for the people of my constituency. If I push for the state and the interest for the people who are around here are so many, the connection that the presidency, the governor has with the presidency now, gives a leverage for an Enugu person, for a party man, to stretch their hands to Abuja. Not necessarily through the governor, but because this is like a larger family now. And if you look at what has happened in Nigeria, because a lot of trends that are almost becoming a norm here will not be accepted any part of in the developed or civilized world. But my brother, what we can afford now is what we have at hand. So how can we make use of it? While those who have good conscience and good intentions will be preparing to use every opportunity they have. In Enugu now we have 17 local government chairmen. As a matter of fact, we were all together yesterday at our GON, and our GON office, and I think none of them was absent. And I was seeing different faces, different individuals, different personalities ruling or leading their local government council differently. There are those who don't go to the local government headquarters more than 2 times in a week. There are those, in fact, the one I work with that I'm trying to bring to Aneke TV now, would come to office and stay till 9. And those of us who are with him be saying, no, you don't need to work. In fact, I was happy last week when he was saying that he want to go and have a rest in the hotel, and he want to rest for 2 days. I said, that's good. So, but the emphasis for me here now is there's no black book that says all politicians must act the same. So if you are connecting to the center, if you have a political system that is working now, and you know that the one you want is not readily available, while you are, because it's a two-way thing, if you cannot be part of them, not if you cannot beat them, join them. If you cannot be part of them, stay out of them, but don't just be throwing jabs. There are those who are in this administration who might not like everything that is happening, But the little opportunity they have, no matter the status quo, they are using it to do good. In Enugu now, there are local government chairmen that are working as hard as the governor. There are people who their template is whatever the governor does, we are doing it in our local government. Oh, he's working type 2 hospital, let's do type 1. He's doing smart school, let's see how we can renovate the ones that he's not working on. It is a template. There are those who are also using this opportunity to make money. So if we have leaders, because most of the time, there was a time I think it was on a radio program, I said, show me an Igbo leader in the whole of the Southeast that is worth the loyalty of a person who dreams of a new Nigeria. And some people listed all kinds of politicians and business people, and I said I didn't see any. That was me. But moving into 2027, I think it is the first time I'm going to be saying we need to listen. Not just because of politics of 2027, but because there's a lot. Even after the governor of Enugu State decamped to APC, there were certain things that happened in the state. As a governor, he gets his statutory allocation, he gets anything any other state gets. But as a party person to the ruling party at the center, there were certain things he was able to do to make and send the attorney we had then to become a federal minister and so many other things. So if you ask whether is it the best way, no, it is not. But this is what is affordable and it's obtainable now. And because it's what is obtainable now, make the best of it. One day, it will get to a turn of a person who, we had a governor in Enugu State who was very charismatic. If he comes to Obiago now, he'll stop at this point and be walking and greeting people. The next person that took over after him, you will not even see him. He said, I doesn't want campaign songs. If he comes, all this there, he will tell him, no, I don't want that. He concentrated on his own and left. The next person came, became another jolly good fellow. He left. We have the one who is there now doing disruptive innovation. So if we keep believing that maybe we want a leader who sells ice cream, who will be accepted by every human being, it's never going to happen. If Peter Obi becomes president today, I can tell you some of the flaws he had as a governor, he might still repeat so many of those mistakes. And no matter how well he does, there are people who will still not accept him. What I would offer as a suggestion now is, I think I've tried to be very emphatic about it in this program. Let us reduce, even if we cannot kill it entirely, let us reduce this sentiment and emotions. They don't work in politics. Any politician who thinks with his sentiment and emotion is bound to fail. So what we need to do now, which is my suggestion to Igbo youth, which is also my suggestion to the entire Southeast, is for the first time look at where we have been coming from, the things we've complained about, and ask the question whether, because a lot of people will tell you that these leaders are doing it for their selfish, is it really selfish in totality? Because there's a bit of selfishness in everything we do, but it depends on the percentage. Somebody will say my interest is the people, and a lot of people are saying no, it's not true. Your interest is yourself. You're just making your problem look as if it's a general problem. There are those who get satisfaction when people around them are okay. There are human beings like that. So maybe that satisfaction is getting. I know a leader who don't like spending so much time alone. From the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed, he wants more than 90% of that day to be spent with people around him, having conversation, even when he wants to eat. But not everybody's like that. So if we understand that some of our leaders might not be totally or outrightly bad as they are being painted, it will give us the little opportunity to say, maybe for the first time in the history of the Southeast, this is the time we're going to align with our governors, which majority of them are saying, let's connect to the center for 2027 election, and building up from there, because you can't be very certain about what happens in the future. But for today and the things you can get in governance, the dividends of democracy, let us align so that if we are not doing enough, or if the much we are doing here is not enough to go around, we have the opportunity of stretching our hands to pull more resources from Abuja.
All right, that's quite apt. But going forward, I want to draw your attention to a new trend in town. And I want us to look at the implication for the Igbo youths going forward, even beyond 2027. You see, a lot of Igbo youths and socialites are leading at the forefront of what we now call today the city boy movement. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah.
There's a city boy movement, and now there's a village boy movement as well. Looking at it, I'm not trying to, because of the personalities involved in terms of who is being campaigned for and who they stand for, but I'm looking at, doesn't it have a wider implication for the Igbo youths going into the future? You know, you do say that politics is a game of interest, and this interest may not align beyond 2027. There are those who are watching and maybe in a position to determine a lot of things. So I'm looking at the City Boy movement, where a lot of successful Igbo socialites are leading at the forefront. Don't you think that this may have implication for the Igbo youths going forward?
Okay, the implication it will have is a good implication. The implication it will have is that on some of the challenges these socialites had in the past doing their businesses would have been copped off. There are some allegations in the structural build-up of that city boy movement thing, which I think I will only say allegedly. But here is where my interest lies in that whole conversation. First, there was a city boy movement before the Igbo socialites joined them. That's why they are not the pioneers. They are only the one we know now is the Southeast coordinator, and a lot of people are identifying with him. Even some of the Igbo people are abroad. And then because of how popular they were becoming, the people in the opposition also enacted village boy movement, which, if you ask me, is a defeat on arrival. If you're going to pattern your weapon of defense in the design of your opponent, means you're looking up to what they are doing is so good, so you need to do your own. And just like when what happened in Owerri happened, and people are saying the village boys came to city boys and took what is rightfully theirs. You know, in fact, we should be careful who we listen to in the Southeast. I started saying this, I think it should be over 10 years now. Who we listen to is very important. It doesn't matter how acceptable, because certain truths might be hurting. They might be like using hot iron to heal a wound. You know, those days when there were not so much orthodox medicine, there are certain wounds you have, they will place an iron. If it becomes red,
knife on fire,
that one is even most recent. This one I was saying is these days you don't see like a bullet wound. There's no even no oil. So they just put a hot iron. Once it's red, they place it in that your body. In fact, most times they will have to use strong stick, tell you to hold it. The person will cry out. And then most recently, my grandmother did that one to me. They put a knife. You see, this knife is now red. You now position it, drop oil on it. The oil will be shine and now enter your leg. Sometimes I will kick and push down everybody, and you know. So sometimes the truth hurts to that extent. A lie might be like a painkiller. In most times where there are debates of Igbo interest, there will be a particular section or version that the people will be hailing. This morning I was listening to somebody doing a video referring to this city boy, village boy thing. He said there are Igbo people you should now avoid. And for what? For identifying with a political interest? That is how low a lot of people are. That so because of that, we should avoid their product. They say if tomorrow they have a company, all those things will not work, because sometimes you are expressing the limitation of your own thinking. What they are doing today is even going to give them more leverage because they have connected with government backing, and moving forward, we should look at things that will go beyond today, because I don't know how much more time we have. There are certain expectations of most of these people. Okay, there are so many expectations of our people that will be cut short in 2027. So you now ask the question, when we don't eventually get this, what becomes the next line of action? So if we are going to move forward as Igbo, especially the young people amongst us, it is time to look beyond your head. You need to ask questions and do researches, fact-finding missions to find out why we've not been able to advance politically as the way we are advancing in our businesses. And if we don't get that answer, it's not answer you ask and get, and like when you ask me, they will say, oh, it's because they hate us. If they hate you, are you hating yourself also? There are chances we will take in 2027. I can tell you that getting an Igbo president will be closer to 100 in percentage. But there are things we will do. We'll get back to the circle and continue to complain. And that's not what I proposed.
All right, so thank you very much. We are running out of time, but before I let you go, just two quick issues, and it has to be personal. I want to ask, what's changed? What's changed? Or is a question for another day? For what of time?
I don't think it's something you would do in split seconds. Yes, but
all right, I will leave that. Because I know I will have you again soon.
I'm happy you noticed that something changed.
Yes, I noticed that there is a change.
And you didn't even build a background. So you just asked me what changed.
I know that there's a change. So I'll be willing to take that next time we encounter on this on the insight. When let me ask this: when next are we going to prove a point? It's
not something I'm seeing anytime soon.
All right.
Because I need to recover from the point I've proved over the years.
All right, and that's the much you can have today on the insight. And you've been in case you're just joining us or you've been watching, we'll be speaking to Sir Aneke Abo, who is a proud Igbo son of Southeast extraction and a public affairs analyst. I'll be looking at the issue of Igbo youth and the future of politics 2027 in focus. Till we'll come your way same time tomorrow. I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Bye-bye.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Good Hope Chukuma. Headlines. House of Reps moved to jail dual party members for 2 years. Top security chiefs deployed to Maiduguri after deadly market bombings. Governor Sanwo-Olu reaffirms Lagos as hub for consumer protection. Senegal challenges CAF AFCON 2025 ruling, appeals to CAS. Details of the news. The House of Representatives has passed an emergency amendment to the Electoral Act 2026, criminalizing dual political party membership. The bill, sponsored by House Leader Honorable Julius Ihonvere, was approved in 3 readings in a single day. It stipulates that individuals registered with more than one party face a 10 million naira fine, up to 2 years imprisonment, or both. Memberships deemed fraudulent will be declared null, stripping the offender of political status. Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu defended the bill, arguing that dual membership undermines party ideology and political stability. Supporters claim the law will ensure loyalty and discourage opportunistic defections ahead of the 2027 general elections. Proponents describe the move as necessary to preserve party coherence and prevent manipulation of political processes. Critics, including Prince Adewale Adebayo of the Social Democratic Party and constitutional lawyers, condemned the measure as unconstitutional. They cited Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution, which guarantees every citizen the right to freedom of association. Opposition figures labeled the law a legislative lynching aimed at restricting members' mobility between parties amid growing economic dissatisfaction. The legislation has sparked internal debate within the National Assembly. Some lawmakers questioned the legality of penalizing citizens for exercising constitutional protected rights. Legal experts predict court challenges as the bill advances, raising questions about whether the government can lawfully imprison individuals for holding more than one party membership card. Nigeria's top security officials have relocated to Maiduguri following coordinated suicide bombings that killed 23 people and injured 108 others. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ordered the move, describing the attacks as the final desperate act of a wicked terrorist network. Explosions hit the Monday Market, Post Office Flyover and University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital at 7 p.m. on Monday during Ramadan preparations. Defense Minister General Christopher Musa and service chiefs are now on the ground to stabilize the region. Army units and explosive ordnance teams have secured blast sites, increased patrols and intensified intelligence operations. Authorities warn that additional suicide bombers may remain in the city, calling on residents to remain vigilant. The attacks have drawn nationwide condemnation. Opposition leaders Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi criticized the security apparatus, demanding concrete results to prevent further loss of life. Families affected are currently identifying victims at local mortuaries, while humanitarian agencies provide support for the wounded people. Borno State Governor Babagana Umaru Zulum urged heightened security in public spaces and religious centers. He assured citizens that government and security forces remain committed to sustaining peace in the northeast, emphasizing that the attacks were intended to incite fear but will not undermine the state's stability. The Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) has fully restored train services on the Abuja-Kaduna route following a technical disruption. NRC Managing Director Mr. Kayode Opeifa confirmed that operations resumed on Wednesday will return trips from Rigasa arriving safely at Edo Station. Services were suspended after a rear locomotive of train KA2 discharged and collided with the train near Asham Station on Monday. Several passengers were injured, but NRC confirmed that no fatalities, with all victims receiving immediate medical attention. A swift investigation led to new safety protocols, including enhanced equipment checks and operational procedures. Officials say these measures ensure the safe resumption of service for daily commuters along the critical corridor. Opeifa emphasized that collaboration with local authorities, including District Head of Ido, in managing the restoration process. Passengers are encouraged to use the NRC mobile app for real-time updates on train schedules, seat availability, and safety protocols. The corporation reaffirmed its commitment to preventing future disruptions. The restoration is part of NRC's broader effort to rebuild public trust and strengthen its contribution to Nigeria's GDP by reopening the line within 48 hours and implementing stricter operational standards. The Railway Authority aims to secure long-term reliability and confidence among commuters traveling between the Federal Capital Territory and northern states. Nigeria's security agencies have deployed thousands of personnel to safeguard Eid al-Fitr celebrations after Monday's triple suicide bombings in Maiduguri, claiming 23 lives. Operations span the Federal Capital Territory, Kano, Jigawa, and other states with specialized units covering prayer grounds, shopping malls, and key infrastructure. Authorities aim to maintain order during the festive period and prevent potential terrorist threats. In Abuja, the Civil Defense Corps has deployed 4,000 officers, including elite female units and chemical weapon specialists. Kano State has mobilized over 3,400 troops to guard public hubs, while intelligence-led patrols inquire focus on crime hotspots. Security agencies are working in tandem with local and federal authorities to ensure safety. The federal government declared Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 20th, 2026 as public holidays. The Sultan of Sokoto instructed Muslims to begin crescent moon observations on Wednesday evening, signaling the start of Eid preparations. Agencies are urging residents to report suspicious activity and exercise caution during the celebrations. Beyond domestic security, the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs condemned recent foreign military actions against Iran. The Road Safety Corps has also launched intensified patrols to manage heavy holiday traffic, while authorities continue to emphasize public vigilance and adherence to safety directives nationwide. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET has issued a 3-day weather alert for moderate dust haze across the country beginning Wednesday. Northern and north-central states will experience reduced visibility, dropping between 2 and 5 kilometers, with Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa potentially seeing visibility below 1,000 meters. The haze is expected to persist through Friday, posing risks to travel and health. Southern Nigeria will experience mostly sunny conditions with intermittent cloud cover. Coastal states including Lagos, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom may see afternoon and evening thunderstorms with light rainfall. NIMET forecast the north-central region to maintain steady haze, while far northern states may witness slight improvement by Friday. The agency advised residents with asthma or respiratory conditions to take precautions. Motorists are urged to drive carefully, while airline operators have been directed to obtain airport-specific weather reports for flight planning. The alert highlights the importance of preparedness and adherence to safety measures during the haze period. NIMET stressed the conditions may fluctuate over the next 72 hours, urging the public to monitor official weather updates. Authorities recommended limiting outdoor exposure, using protective equipment, and exercising caution in high-risk areas to mitigate health hazards associated with airborne dust particles. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has dismissed 6 political appointees and suspended John Bull Shekarau, chairman of the State Assembly Service Commission. Among those relieved is Timothy Kolu, special advisor on strategic communication, along with liaison officers across Jos South, Langtan, and Kuan Pan. The move is part of an administrative reshuffle aimed at improving government efficiency. The secretary to the state government cited the dismissals measures to reposition the government for greater efficiency. Observers know the timing coincided with a faction of People's Democratic Party Congress in Jos, led by supporters of FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, which elected a parallel state executive committee in defiance of the multi-party leadership. All state officials have been directed to return government property and hand over documents immediately. The administration described the action as necessary to align the cabinet with strategic priorities and strengthen governance structures across the state. Political analysts interpret the purge as a response to internal party dissent. With rival factions vying for control ahead of upcoming elections, the shake-up underscores heightened tension within Plateau's ruling party and signals the governor's resolve to consolidate authority and enforce party discipline. Enugu State has reported 1,086 cases of gender-based violence (GBV) within just over 100 days. The state's GBV task force, established in December 2025 under Reverend Aneke of the Enugu State Economic Recovery Council, averages over 20 reports daily. The figures reflect both the high prevalence of abuse and growing public trust in reporting mechanisms. Since inception, the task force has facilitated 218 arrests, secured 18 remands, and provided medical support to 46 survivors. Recent operations rescued 114 adolescent girls from sexual exploitation in local hotels, highlighting the ongoing vulnerability of minors in urban centers. Officials warn that the lack of government rehabilitation facilities exacerbates the problem. The group is calling on Governor Peter Ndubuisi to revive the Postal Training Institute in Ngwo, a juvenile rehabilitation center, to serve as a recovery hub for Southeast and South-South states. Current operations rely heavily on voluntary support and external funding, including assistance from the French embassy. Task force leaders stressed the urgent need for institutional support, including dedicated vehicles and a permanent budgetary allocation. Without proper shelters and psychosocial programs, advocates warn that rescue and prevention efforts will continue to lag behind the scale of GBV incidents, perpetuating the cycle of violence in Enugu State. You're watching Aneke TV news across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. House of Reps proposes 2-year jail for dual party membership. Defense chiefs deployed to Maiduguri after deadly market bombings. Coming up shortly, Governor Sanwo-Olu champions consumer rights in Lagos. Senegal rejects CAF AFCON 2025 ruling, heads to CAS. We'll be right back.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
You're welcome back. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated his commitment to transforming the state into a stronghold for consumer rights. Speaking at the 2026 World Consumer Rights Day, the governor emphasized that public safety and economic stability rely on market integrity. Represented by Attorney General Mr. Lawal Pedro, he stressed that ensuring the safety and reliability of products is a central government responsibility. Governor Sanwo-Olu described building consumer confidence as foundational to economic growth. He promised continuous refinement of legal frameworks to punish fraudulent actors and maintain fair trade practices. The event carried the theme, Safe Products, Confident Consumers, and showcased the growing role of the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency in regulating the market. State Commissioner for Commerce, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose, disclosed intensified surveillance operations targeting substandard and counterfeit goods. She urged residents to report expired or suspicious products, warning that the collective responsibility of vendors and consumers is vital for market integrity. The consumer highlighted ongoing measures to enforce compliance across all commercial hubs. The agency's general manager, Mr. Afolabi Solebo, called for innovative approaches to close regulatory gaps, especially in digital marketplaces. The agency is pushing for reinforced enforcement mechanisms to protect consumers. By prioritizing transparency and quality, the government aims to create a business environment where innovation thrives and market trust is strengthened. The Benue State government has reported 0 deaths over the last 11 days despite a rise in suspected Lassa fever cases. State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Paul Oguche, stated that suspected cases have reached 383, with 47 confirmed infections and 6 new confirmations last week. The cumulative death toll remains at 14, attributed to the effective early detention and community outreach. Currently, 20 patients are receiving treatment in isolation, including 14 at the Benue State University Teaching Hospital and 6 at the Federal Medical Center, Makurdi. Dr. Wuche credited the decline in fatalities to aggressive field tracking and functional state laboratories that enable rapid testing and immediate response initiation. The response effort is suspected to be state governments and international partners, including the World Health Organization, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, and Medicines Sans Frontières. Internally displaced persons camps remain stable with no new outbreaks, while educational campaigns continue to prevent virus spread. Health authorities emphasize vigilance and strict hygiene practices. Residents are urged to report symptoms early and maintain preventive measures. The government remains on high alert to sustain the downward trend and protect communities across all 23 local government areas. Nigeria imported 5.73 trillion naira worth of crude oil in 2025, despite producing over 430 million barrels domestically. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows a 100% increase in imports compared to 2024, highlighting shortfalls in the Naira for Crude initiative intended to supply local refineries. Mega refineries, including Dangote, are operating below capacity due to insufficient domestic allocations. Industry experts attribute the shortfall to international oil companies prioritizing dollar-denominated exports and existing forward sale contracts by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. Dangote Refinery reportedly receives only 5 monthly cargoes after a required 13, sourcing the remainder against the international markets at higher cost. The supply crisis has directly impacted fuel prices in Nigeria. Imported crude at premium rates undermines expected domestic price relief. Analysts warn that unless the government prioritizes local feedstock allocation, the nation's energy independence will remain unstable. Energy stakeholders are calling for urgent policy adjustments. Ensuring full domestic supply is essential to stabilizing refinery operations, controlling fuel costs, and reinforcing the objectives of Nigeria's energy strategy for 2026. Nigeria's commercial paper market recorded a 165% increase in issuance volume in a single month, surpassing 1.58 trillion naira in 2025. Market analysts note a shift from traditional bank loans to short-term unsecured debt instruments, enabling companies to fund daily operations efficiently and attract a broader investor base. Previously dominated by institutional investors such as pension funds and large manufacturers, the market now includes fintech companies and non-bank financial institutions. Sycomore Integrated Solutions, for example, has launched 20 billion naira programs, allowing retail investors to participate with as little as 100,000 naira. Yield for 270-day tranches reach up to 25%, offering attractive returns amid rising inflation. Financial experts caution investors on risk management. Unlike treasury bills, commercial papers depend entirely on the issuing company's credit worthiness. Credit ratings such as BBB Plus and A2 are critical indicators of repayment capacity and should guide investment decisions. The expanding market presents significant opportunities for wealth creation while emphasizing investor due diligence. Analysts urge participants to verify issuers' financial stability before subscribing, as high returns correlate directly with increased exposure to corporate risk. An Imo State High Court in Owerri has ordered Fidelity Bank PLC to refund 337 million naira and 5,000 naira and 65 naira to Ifeco Communications Limited. Justice J.M. Njaka delivered the judgment following a decade-long dispute over unauthorized deductions, including management fees, legal fees, and commission on turnover charges. The court found the bank acted without consent, inflating the company's alleged debt. The ruling relied on a detailed audit report, confirming that while a sister company owed funds, Fidelity Bank improperly deducted large sums from Ifeco's account. Justice Njaka criticized the bank for failing to provide credible evidence to justify deductions and awarded an additional 10 million naira in damages for breach of trust. Fidelity Bank's claim that the audit was unilateral were dismissed. The court confirmed the audit findings were consistent with oral testimonies presented during proceedings, reinforcing accountability for financial institutions. The judgment sets a national precedent for customer protection against unauthorized banking charges. Fidelity Bank has been directed to comply with the refund immediately, marking a decisive victory for Ifeco Communications and reinforcing consumer confidence in Nigeria's judiciary. Nigeria's National Automotive Design and Development Council has unveiled a new automotive development park in Nnewi, Anambra State. Director General Mr. Oluwemimo Ostanapin stated that the initiative aims to reduce production costs through shared infrastructure, enabling investors to utilize existing facilities for vehicle assembly and parts manufacturing. The federal government approved the procurement of electric buses for civil servants, mandating sourcing from local assemblers. A network of charging stations is also being installed nationwide to support cleaner energy adoption and strengthen local supply chains. The council is drafting legislation to align automotive policies with global standards and is collaborating with the Bank of Industry to provide financing for qualified stakeholders. The park aims to create a fully integrated cluster, transforming Nnewi into a competitive automotive hub. Long-term plans focus on local capacity building, skills development, and job creation. Officials assert that the initiative will reduce reliance on imported components such as tires and batteries while fostering sustainable industrial growth. Now in sports, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) Appeal Board has stripped Senegal of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations title, awarding it to Morocco. The decision follows Senegal's walk-off during the January 19 final in Rabat after a disallowed goal and a penalty for Morocco, constituting match forfeiture under CAF regulations. The Senegalese Football Federation described the ruling as unprecedented and unacceptable, citing procedural flaws and context ignored in the decision. The Senegalese Football Federation confirmed it will appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports in Lausanne, Switzerland, seeking a binding resolution on the rightful champion. CAF maintains that Senegal breaches Articles 82 and 84 on misconduct and forfeiture, validating Morocco's victory. The ruling overturns earlier disciplinary measures and sets a precedent for tournament governance. Fans across Africa now await the outcome of legal proceedings. The decision underscores the increasing role of judicial bodies in adjudicating sports disputes, with the 2025 AFCON champion pending confirmation from the Court of Arbitration. In entertainment, Nollywood actress Omotala Jalade Ekinde received a surprise tribute at a cinema screening celebrating her 30-year career and directorial debut in Mother's Love. Content creator Brainjoda arranged a live acrobatic performance during the event, leaving the veteran actress visibly stunned. The premiere attracted a star-studded audience, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Omotala confirmed that all proceeds from the screening would support education initiatives for undeserved children, blending entertainment with philanthropy. Omotala reflected on her international career, highlighting disparities in compensation between her Nollywood projects, which provide residuals, and her Nollywood contributions. Despite structural gaps in Nigerian film industry, she remains committed to creative excellence. The actress' milestone marks a turning point in her career, signaling her transition into directing and mentoring while sustaining influence in the local and global entertainment sectors. Nigerian singer Adekunle Gold has sparked debate by declaring himself the best in the music industry. The statement followed a successful year, including a sold-out Wembley Arena performance and placement on the global soundtrack for the Book of Clarence. The announcement was accompanied by a professional photo shoot shared on social media. Adekunle Gold, father of three, began his career as a graphic designer and was first signed by Olamide. He has transitioned from folk pop roots to mainstream Afro-pop, maintaining global relevance while consistently evolving his sound and style. The singer addressed occasional criticism over controversial themes in his recent work, but emphasized his 8-year legacy and artistic independence. He credited his wife and fellow musician Simi for ongoing support in managing his career. Industry observers note Adekunle Gold's declaration reflects confidence built on sustained commercial success and international recognition. His focus remains on maintaining creative innovation and expanding influence across Nigeria and the global music markets. And now to end the news across the country, here are the main points again. The House of Representatives has passed an emergency amendment to the Electoral Act 2026 to criminalize dual party membership. Sponsored by House Leader Honorable Julius Ihomvere, the bill proposes a mandatory fine of 10 million naira, up to 2 years imprisonment, or both for any individual found registered with more than one political party. Membership deemed fraudulent would be immediately nullified, stripping the offender of party status. Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu defended the legislation describing dual party registration as a form of fraudulent misrepresentation that undermines political stability. Supporters argue the law will lock in party loyalty and prevent defections ahead of 2027 general elections. Nigeria's top security officials have relocated to Maiduguri, Borno State, following a coordinated string of suicide bombings that left 23 dead and 108 injured. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ordered the deployment, describing the attacks as the final desperate acts of a weakened terrorist network. Explosions struck the Monday Market, Post Office flyover, and University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. The Defense Minister General Christopher Musa, alongside service chiefs, are on the ground to stabilize the northeast. Army units and explosive ordnance disposal teams have secured blast sites and intensified patrols. Authorities warn residents that additional suicide bombers may still be embedded in the city. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to protecting consumer rights and ensuring market integrity. Speaking at the 2026 World Consumer Rights Day, Governor Sanwo-Olu, represented by Attorney General Mr. Lawal Pedro, stressed that public safety and economic stability rely on the government guaranteeing that products sold in Lagos are safe and reliable. The Senegalese Football Federation, FSF, has rejected the Confederation of African Football, CAF, appeal board's decision to strip Senegal of the 2025 African Cup of Nations title.